It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Beautiful cold day in the Delaware Valley as we inch towards playoff football. My God, I can't wait for this thing to get here as we keep going over it and over it and over it. So, first of all, working with me today, the great Amy Fadul, the 5'8" guard out of Kentucky.
Oh, you
joins us today.
docked me an inch. That's all right.
I thought you're 5'9"? Oh, my bad. But in any event, good to have you here,
I'm
Amy.
excited to be here.
We're going to talk about this game ad nauseum and take it apart little by little. But we'll also get into the 76ers a little bit because obviously the people in this town know you as the Sixer expert on the pregame and postgame shows. So we'll talk some Sixers. We haven't talked Sixers in a long time. But let's focus on what's up here. Jalen Hurts looks like he's going to play. The indication yesterday was that Ian Book was released. Poor Ian. And that means that Jalen Hurts is probably practicing today, and we'll certainly get the lowdown on that. And then it's a matter of evaluating him tomorrow to see if he survived the practice and he's ready to go. So we're all good there, right?
Yes.
You feeling good about this?
I do feel good about that.
Okay. So here's the other thing. Like, I was reading a story today in the Inquirer about how the Eagles have the talent advantage in almost every category. Offensive line, pass catchers, running back. The defense ranked number 1 in the NFC, allowing the fewest points, the fewest yards per play, fewest first downs. They've allowed opponents to only score on 31.6% of their drives, which is tied for first in the NFL. So the question is, how could they lose?
Yeah, why are we even playing the game?
Right, exactly. How could they lose? Why are the Eagles, when I look at the betting lines,
Yeah, this is crazy.
the Eagles are ranked 5th in the betting lines based on the Super Bowl odds. Now, okay, they would have to beat a really good team in the Super Bowl, but the number 1 team that's ranked is the team they're probably going to have to beat in the NFC Championship game. The Detroit Lions are plus 320 ahead of the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bills, and the Eagles at plus 650. When you look at that, it doesn't look like they have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
It looks like they're not even remotely in the conversation, which is weird.
Well, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's funny. I was reading something else, and they had these. They always have those percentages. Oh, and they have a 51% chance to reach the NFC Championship. What? A 51% chance? That's to pick them at home as the 2 seed? Come on. I thought that was exceptionally low. So I don't know where they get their metrics from. I'm always interested when I see things like that. Like, what are they taking into account? Because you mentioned it.
Well,
they have a top defense. They have a top offense.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Here's what they're taking into account. As this story I read today, they don't trust the quarterback. At this point, they don't trust the quarterback, nor do they trust the coach?
Yeah.
Because they were looking at all these metrics on who's got the advantage in quarterback and coach, and Nick Sirianni is still not held in high favor as far as going all the way with this team.
He's the only Eagles coach to have 2 13-plus win seasons. He has an over 75, almost an 80% winning percentage, and he still is absolutely dismissed.
So what do you think it is?
I mean, I think when you talk to, and I know you do all the time, when you talk to people outside of Philadelphia, they think there are questions about Jalen Hurts as a whole because they look at everything this season, which I think that if you look at it as a whole, you shouldn't have as many questions, but whatever. I understand there's been dips, and the offense at times he has struggled throwing the ball. And the coaching staff has made some mistakes, but I feel like that was long. If you're looking back at the Browns game, looking back at the Jags game, since then I have not had those moments where I'm thinking, oh, he's going to make a mistake. I mean, that's
I totally agree
8
with
weeks
you.
ago.
I totally agree with you. Now, here's the only thing. He's obviously banged up, and he's obviously took a long time to clear this concussion protocol. So I guess you have to worry about whether he gets rocked early in a game. Mm-hmm. How will that affect him? Because obviously you become more susceptible to a second concussion once you've been banged up with the first one. And the other thing is rust. He hasn't played in a long time. So how would you play this coming into this game?
Yeah, I would play it straight up. I mean, I've heard things about like, oh, maybe you ease them into it. I don't think you ease them into it. I think you start right at your passing attack. You prove that he's
Really,
just
you
fine.
right at the passing attack.
Right at the passing attack. I just go right out the
You
gate.
get the ball to A.J. Brown real early in this
Real
game.
early. I almost take a page from that Steelers game because I feel like there's going to be so many questions. I do think that he needs to work on getting the ball out exceptionally fast. I think that's obviously something they're going to have to focus on to prevent any kind of pressure for the quarterback. But I think you know that your run game is solid. I think you need to get Jalen back on track as far as the game mode. And of the first, say 6 plays, I throw the ball 4 times.
Wow. See, it's an interesting view because I don't think the Packers would expect that.
No.
So maybe that, but do you get the impression that this is an overly aggressive type of team that would do something like that, or would they rely on what they do well and do it well at home?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question because usually, yes. But Nick Sirianni has been notoriously aggressive as a whole, and that's not going to change, I don't think. I mean, you look at the way that he goes for it on 4th down. No one goes for it on 4th down with the success that he does in the last 5 years. They've done it twice now as far as leading the league. Oh. And so I think that I would be more aggressive. I would just threaten them with that run. I mean, obviously with Saquon Barkley, but then when you have A.J. Brown, I would have at least one go route.
So let's harken back, and we're up against our first break, but let's harken back to when McNabb and T.O. joined up. Andy Reid went long on the first play, right? So would they do that? I don't think Sirianni has the guts to advise Kellen Moore to do that. But we'll talk about it. Why are the Eagles 5th on the list as far as the Super Bowl goes? And do you believe it's still the quarterback and the coach that holds the national people back from endorsing the Eagles? Here's how you get in. 610-632-0975. We got a lot of surprises today. We're going to hear a lot of interesting sound bites today from very interesting people, including a college coach who ripped his team like I've never heard anybody rip a team before. Did you hear this? All right, 610-632-0975. That's the text board. That's the call line. It's the Mike Missanelli Show with Amy Fidel sitting in for an ailing Bill Colarulo today. Back after this.
Andrew DeCecco.
Mike Missanelli Show. Amy Fadul sitting in for Bill Colorula today. There seems to be a flu that is gripping 97.5 The Fanatic, Amy. So hopefully we stay away from the lingering germs that are floating around here.
Yeah, it's bad. I'm literally like
I know. I
wiped down everything.
I didn't wipe down
there's
my
a bucket
station
over here.
Sean Robbins, our producer today. Sean,
Can we?
Yes.
I need you to wipe down
Yeah.
stuff. No, not for you. Don't worry about it. So let me read this line here that was in the story I read today. If we acknowledge that quarterback is the most important position on the field, and if we acknowledge that the Eagles have a net talent advantage at every other position on the field, and if we acknowledge that they're not overwhelming favorites to advance to the Super Bowl, then we have no choice but to acknowledge that Hurts is a large and legitimate question mark in this postseason. Is that harsh or is that reality?
I feel like this is a little harsh. A large and legitimate, hindrance, basically, for them not advancing.
That's what this author, and it's happens to be David Murphy of the Inquirer, is saying about this whole Super Bowl. Now, he's not saying this against the Packers.
And I understand his logic behind it because, as you pointed out, everything else, every other metric is fairly even, if not in the Eagles' favor, right? Defense, skill players, running back, and the questions are the head coach and the quarterback, two very important positions. The fact that Jordan Love gets the nod over Jalen Hurts is a little confusing to me. If you're really truly going the comparison route, straight line by line.
Yeah, I don't know if he's making that case that Jordan Love is, but I think he's making the case that this is the thing that will prevent the Eagles from actually winning or getting to the Super Bowl. That, this game, I think that most people would agree the Eagles are the better team, and it doesn't matter that Hurts is coming off a couple of weeks of inactivity. They'll beat the Packers. But down the road, and let's face it, we're looking at one team that they would have to beat to get to the Super Bowl, and that's the Detroit Lions. So I got to be honest with you. I think the Eagles are a little below the Lions at this point.
Yeah, the Lions, to me, offensively, and no matter how many injuries it feels like they have, and I saw that Dave Montgomery is going to be back, but I feel like that is a well-oiled machine.
Especially at home.
Yes, and it's loud in the dome and all that other stuff, and it doesn't matter how much you can recreate that. They have a distinct home field advantage, and anybody's ever gone to a game in a dome, it is exceptionally loud. And the Lions are very good, and they're well coached. So I think that if you were looking at the matchup with the Lions, and that's obviously where the end goal is, yeah, that was, it's not as even. I don't think it's a complete, 60-40, but I feel like it's probably close to that. 60%.
I think it's really interesting that the odds have the Lions as a prohibitive favorite here.
Yeah, I don't know
plus
about that.
320. The Chiefs plus 370. They're kind of in the ballpark. But those two teams are way above everybody else to get there. And I'm a big believer in the odds makers.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas always knows what they're talking about. There's a reason they say house always wins, because it usually does.
Yes.
They don't like losing money.
All right, so that's the only, I'm not nervous about this game at all. I was nervous yesterday when I said, I don't know about this Hurts thing. Why is this taking so long to clear him? So I think we'll find out or they're confident that he's going to be cleared because they made that move with Ian Book. Mm-hmm. So I think by tomorrow we'll all rest easy. So I don't have a problem with them beating the Green Bay Packers at home. And I certainly don't have a problem with them winning the next game at home either.
Whether it's the Bucs or the Rams, or
right?
Whatever.
A lot of people are scared of the Bucs, but
I think that's just PTSD.
Yeah, it probably is. The Bucs aren't going to come in here and beat the Eagles as good as the Eagles' defense is. But it is interesting that they go with Hurts and they go with Sirianni as the people that can hold the Eagles down. So he's even going this. Sean McVay and Todd Bowles, the kings of the NFC offensive and defensive game. Forget about the team's records.
Just anointed.
They're anointed. And then you got Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings offense, who turned Sam Darnold into someone and makes everybody question what you know. No, it doesn't. The Vikings got smoked in their most telling competition.
A game that they had to have.
Right. So I don't see the Rams. I don't see the Bucs. I don't see the Vikings. But I do see the Lions. And again, if we're talking about the Eagles not getting to the Super Bowl with this team, I get this. I don't know how much credibility he has or how much he's studying, but Darren Sproles is out there saying this is the best Eagles team we've ever seen. That's what he said. He tweeted, it's the best Eagles team we've ever seen. This is the best Eagles team we've ever seen. Should we expect
That's
that
high praise.
they would beat the Lions?
I mean, if they're the best team that he's ever seen, yeah. Wow, the best he's ever seen. I think the improvement makes them so good. And I think in our eyes, we there's always a level of, I don't know, just waiting for the other shoe to drop, I guess. So I would be hesitant to give that kind of praise, but they're certainly an exceptionally good team. The defense is remarkable. To see the turnaround from last year to this year, and even from week 5 after the bye, the turnaround.
It has been an amazing coaching job by Vic Fangio. Now, we'd be naive to think that they get an edge rush in the playoffs. Can they get an edge rush in this game? Because they're depleted there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We've looked at that closely enough. So I'll add another plank to it. So it's Hurts, it's Sirianni, it's the edge rushing that can prevent them.
And getting to the quarterback, I think, is number one. Obviously, we've seen the way the teams have played against Jalen Carter. He's doubled every single time, basically held, it seems like, half of the time as well. So you want to see if they can get pressure from other players. That was one thing when we were looking at what are we going to look at on week 18, because there really wasn't much to look at. It was some of those players that could contribute later, the Bryce Huffs of the world, and Jordan Davis played a lot on that one. And so you thought, all right, well, those are the guys that I need to see step up going forward.
All right, so here's the deal. We have a couple guests coming on. We have John Kuhn. Remember John Kuhn?
Oh yeah,
former
PSAC.
fullback for the Packers. He went to
Shippensburg guy.
He is a Shippensburg guy.
PSAC.
You knew that, huh?
Oh, every time we would see him for the Packers, it was like the number one. Like, that guy went. You're kidding me? You went from Division II to the NFL.
It's pretty amazing. His story is pretty amazing. He's a sideline reporter for the Packers. He'll give us the Packers perspective at 11 o'clock. And then my old buddy, Hembo, from the ESPN Get Up show. We used to have him on a regular basis. Another local dude, another Eagle crazy fan. Usually has some stats that'll back up whether he thinks the Eagles will win or get to the Super Bowl. 610-632-0975. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The big question is, will Jalen Hurts play? I'm Sean Rodman, and this update is brought to you by Bet365. Whenever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol. In order for Hurts to clear the protocol, he will have to practice this week and then report no symptoms the following day. We will find out later today when practice begins at 3:30 if Jalen's out there based off the media. A good sign for Jalen Hurts, though, is quarterback Ian Book was waived yesterday by the Eagles. We will hear from Nick Sirianni if he has an update on Hurts when he speaks to the media at approximately 12:10. Then former Packer John Kuhn will join us, and Hembo will join us at 11:55. John Kuhn at 11. The Sixers are back in action tonight as the team hosts the Wizards. The Sixers have already ruled out Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Kyle Lowry for tonight's game. You can listen to the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:50. This update is also brought to you by Batteries Plus. At Batteries Plus, you can get a key fob for up to 50% less than at the dealership. Get keys cut, keys fobs programmed, and batteries replaced on the spot. Get a spare key today at Batteries Plus today. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Amy Spadul sitting in for an ailing Bill Colorado. I texted with Bill last night. He said he had a 102 fever.
Ooh, got the flu.
Man, he got sick like within like the final 2 hours. You could see sickness just gripped him.
Yikes.
I don't know how I escaped it. It was like a cloud that gripped Bill, and it stayed away from me for some reason. But anyway,
Just on
hopefully,
this side. Hopefully, I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Bill's doing well because he has a pregnant wife who's due any day, and like what, he's got a dilemma. He's in bed sick. What would happen?
I mean, you suck it up and you go.
Is that what you do?
Put that mask on and let's go.
Wait, wouldn't that be unhealthy though?
No.
If he's got to be in the room.
No.
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 Okay, you know better.
You got masks on. You're fine.
All right.
Listen, he's not missing that. He'll stay behind a wall or get a shield on or something.
I guess. Anyway, best wishes to Bill and his fam. All right, so we were discussing during the break what would happen, and we talked about this yesterday a little bit. What would happen? What would the reaction be if the Eagles lost to Green Bay? Now they're a steady 4.5-point favorite, and that has not changed. So that to me is very comfortable, being 4.5-point favorites. That's a decided edge for the Eagles. So again, I don't think it will happen. But discuss the contingency of if it did somehow happen. We both think that the reaction would be, what would it be?
Apoplectic.
Well, it would be. Well, let's take it to the next step. Would the fan base be sensible and say, that's very disappointing, I want to punch a wall, but the head coach shouldn't lose his job?
Wait, as a whole or a very loud minority?
Well, would the majority view be that he should lose his job, or would the majority view be sensible, saying, nah, he's got all kinds of wins under his belt, he's like historical in wins, that we should leave him alone?
No, the majority of people that would voice that, whether it's on social media or a lovely show like this, would be of the mindset of like, he got to go.
Really?
I think so.
The majority would.
Of people that would be wanting to interact. Now, if you talk to, Joe Schmo on the street or at the grocery store, he might be a little bit more sensible, but I think overall people that would be wanting to voice that would be...
You know this town very well.
Be out.
So I want to pose that. I mean, this is just a fool-around topic, right? But I want to pose that question. Would you be one of that group that would say he should go, the head coach, if they lost this game? That's the question for the people out there. 610-632-0975. We got our text board rolling. Sean Rodman, we got a text on how to use Hurts on Sunday?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Colby from Central PA checking in. He says, get him under center in all caps. Use the play action. Nothing wrong with the going a little old school when you have Barkley.
Ooh. I don't think he likes that.
No.
I don't think the quarterback likes getting under center.
No. It's going to be a no from him.
Would that be a no for you?
That makes me chuckle.
Yeah.
That's the thing that makes me chuckle is right.
Yeah,
no, I gotta be. I think what they will do is start them off slow. I don't think that they would risk throwing the ball early. Now I know that might be the element of surprise, and that may work. But I'm thinking, okay, I got to play my percentages in this game. I'm home. It's cold. I got my running back who's the best in the league. Let's start off slow. Let's give him the ball a couple times early, and let's have a short slant to A.J. Brown or a short pattern to the tight end to start him off.
That's definitely that would be the most prudent play, and I think that's what they will do, honestly.
Oh, you do think they will do it?
I just like to be like, listen, let's get him back on the page together, erase any doubt. It just took me back to that Steelers game where, the week before, A.J. had, talked about I needed to get the ball more, and obviously all that whole thing. And then they come out just absolutely slinging it. Like you just knew they were going to. Jalen Hurts throws for like 290-plus yards. And I thought, wow, if you're ever having all these questions surrounding your quarterback, one way to silence that and to show, him that you do have full confidence in him is just go out there and sling it from the jump. I don't think it'll be like when McNabb threw. That was like a 50-yard ball to T.O.
Yeah.
It might have been more.
Because he could throw a 50-yard ball. Now, that's one thing McNabb could do, right?
He could throw a ball.
Yeah. I don't understand why they don't run the slant 10 times a game. I've been saying this all year.
It's almost always there.
It's
over
an
the middle.
unstoppable play. Like if you're trying to gain a quick 8 or maybe even a quick first down, that's the play you go to.
Yeah.
And they don't do it nearly enough. I guess because they have Barkley back there, and that's the more reliable thing to do, and they trust their offensive line and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. That to me is one of the most unstoppable plays in the league. Is that slant?
Well,
to
you
A.J.
mentioned
Brown.
it. It's because they have, if you need 7 yards, you're probably going to go with Barkley on that front.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, you're right. Especially A.J. Brown in that slant pattern. He is always open. That's factually correct.
You just ask him.
Yeah, if you ask him, he knows it. It's also, I think, his Twitter handle, too.
Yeah,
So.
of course.
But I think that it's a good play. It's a reliable play. But, yeah, you don't see it all that much.
All right, let's look at the playoffs and try to project. The Eagles will win. So the 2 seed survives. Minnesota and the Rams, Amy, what you got?
Yeah, I like the Vikings in that one.
Do you?
I do.
This is my upset pick of the week.
The
I
Rams?
think the Rams are outright winners.
Outright. What's
winners.
the line on that one?
1.5.
Yeah, see, that does tell you a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Vegas, man.
Yes.
They always know.
I think that's the upset right there. The Rams move on. But that's all right. So let's say the Vikings move on as the 5 seed. And so we'll take that scenario. Now, Washington, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, this one I've gone back and forth on because initially I'm just like Buccaneers. And then the more I think of it, I don't know. Like I'm not as convinced that the Buccaneers will win. I do think they will, but that's not a lock for me.
No, Buccaneers a 3-point favorite, which is really interesting.
At home.
At home, yeah, it's a common line. I thought it would be a little less than that. It's
I thought
disrespect for the Commanders, I think.
I think the Commanders are better. I get it. They're a young team. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, the youth could be in their favor at times because it's almost like, hey, we don't know any better. But then you actually don't know any better, and so you do need to take it a little bit more seriously. But I think that's a good team.
Okay, so where are you going?
You're going to put it down. You're going to write it down on paper, aren't you?
I'm writing it down. I'm putting these scenarios down because our scenarios might be different. Are you going to take the Bucks?
I don't like it.
Okay, so you have the 5 seed and the 3 seed moving on.
Correct.
So that means that the Lions would then play the Bucks, right? Is that the way it would work?
No, they would play the lower seed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they would play
They would play
Minnesota.
the Minnesota.
They would play
Again.
Minnesota, and the Eagles
Would play the Bucks.
Would play the Bucks.
Yeah.
Now I have the Rams moving on, and the Commanders.
See, I like it.
I have the Rams and the Commanders moving on. So I have the 4 and the 6. So that means that Washington would have to play Detroit,
Right.
and the Eagles would get the Rams at home.
I still like that matchup.
I do too. Give me a team that could beat the Eagles in the second round.
I don't think any of the teams we
none of them
mentioned,
can,
not
right?
the Bucks, not the Rams, not the Vikings, not that they would play them, and then certainly not the Commanders.
I agree. So that's a comfort zone.
Yeah, I do feel pretty good about that.
Which takes me back to the original question about Sirianni. Yeah. If they lose to a lesser team, we would lose our minds.
People would go crazy. I mean, it's any given Sunday,
frankly,
obviously, but
they shouldn't lose to an inferior team in the playoffs at home. And that's where I go, if they lose to an inferior team at home, does that wipe away all this Sirianni statistical love?
it does. Because and that's not take his name out of it, put in anybody's name, any coach's name that has a great regular season record. That's all well and good until you get into the postseason. So if you don't perform in the postseason, in this case, that would be 2 years in a row. That would absolutely take away any statistical, positive from a regular season.
All right.
That's true for anybody.
We have a text. If the Eagles lose,
Yes, and
what are the people saying about Sirianni? I think people are afraid to commit to that. I think that Amy's right, though. I think the majority of people would say he's got to go. He can't get him over the top. I don't care what his numbers say.
Well, to start us off, they are actually on the opposite side. This person, no-name coaches who win 80% of their games don't just grow on trees. If the Eagles lose to Green Bay, and they don't, unless something fluky happens, Sirianni will be safe. They should sign him to an extension.
Wow.
Wait.
Do we have one sensible fan that's out there?
It might be Bill. We don't know.
Could that be Bill?
Bill's texting in.
It is not Bill's number.
Did
though.
it come with a song attached to it, the text?
No.
Well, I don't know if that's the majority view. Well, I'm trying to find out what the majority. Don't be afraid, people. Give us your majority view. If you think that Sirianni should go if they lose either to Green Bay or in the second round of an inferior opponent, let me know how you feel about that. Here's how you get in. It's 610-632-0975. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Somewhere along the line, Amy, we're going to talk about V8 juice. This is the way my mind works, Amy. You got to figure out how, like, V8 juice.
Okay, with all my veggies.
I read a tweet on V8 juice, and it sparked a conversation in my brain.
Was there vodka with the V8?
No, there was no vodka. See, vodka doesn't go with V8. Vodka only goes with tomato juice.
True, Bloody Mary
or a Bloody Mary mix. All right, Mike Missanelli Show continues after this.
It's time for Birds playoff conversation.
I feel better about this crew going into the
By the fanatic, John Kuhn, or is it Kuhn? Kuhn?
Coon.
Kuhn. Well, a former Packer fullback. When they actually used the fullback in the NFL, he was pretty
He was very
impactful.
good.
He was good blocker. He caught the ball in the backfield. He's from York, Pennsylvania, and Shippensburg. Now, one of the things I have to ask him: York is kind of a line of demarcation. Like a lot of people in York go towards the Washington teams. Or
They
the
go either
Baltimore teams.
Baltimore or some go to Steelers.
Yeah, they do for some reasons that are unclear to me. The
I
Steelers
mean,
thing.
it's
No.
not unclear
Yeah. Well, why? Why do you think that is?
because I think their parents probably grew up there and the Eagles weren't very good, and so they probably had to choose, and the Steelers were.
See, I guess if you're in New York, it's a la carte, and you can kind of do.
Yeah,
even
Philadelphia,
though
there's
you're
a-
closer to Philadelphia.
You're definitely closer
than
in York.
Pittsburgh.
Like Harrisburg, you're kind of teetering. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, you're kind of almost there. I guess you're in the middle. You could choose. Yeah, I always thought it was interesting. I have several people that I know from York that are Steelers fans, and one's a Ravens fan.
Did you work in Baltimore?
I did for 2
did?
years. That is my least favorite fan base of
Well,
all
really?
time.
Why is that?
Just the sense of entitlement. Very large.
Entitlement in
Yes.
Baltimore?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Over what?
Just in general. They have a very Baltimore, and the thing is, I love the people I met in Baltimore and worked with and knew and got to know the Baltimore folk, the Charm City, which sounds like a backwards, like an oxymoron.
I never understood that either.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But they have a little brother complex because they're not D.C., they're not Philadelphia. When I worked in sports, I remember I interviewed up here, and they're like, "Oh, have you covered the Wizards? Have you covered the Capitals?" I'm like, they pretend Washington doesn't exist in Baltimore. You never talked about the Caps. The Caps could have won the Stanley Cup 7 times, and it would have been like a blip. They do not talk about.
That's
DC.
really interesting.
Yeah.
So where your career path? Where did give me the steps on how you got here?
So I've been here now. I just had my 16th anniversary. So I'm starting year 17 here in Philadelphia,
Wow.
which is crazy. January 5th, 2009 was my very first day. So that was a long time ago. Before that, 2 years before in Baltimore, 2 years in Nashville, 2 years in Lexington, and then like a half year when I was still in college in Lexington, Kentucky.
All right. So you went to Kentucky.
That I did.
Are you from Kentucky?
No, I'm originally from Virginia.
Okay.
Born and raised in Richmond.
So what made you go to Kentucky?
I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in sports.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to a large school. So I only applied to SEC schools.
Really?
Tennessee, Alabama, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Kentucky.
And were you more of a basketball fan than a football fan?
No. I mean, growing up, I was both. You can't. Well, my mom was from Kentucky. She went to Kentucky.
Okay. All right.
And I'm the youngest of 5, and I'm the only one that managed to go to her alma mater. Everybody else stayed in state.
Could you have pictured at that time when you were Kentucky that you would end up in Philadelphia?
No.
Where-
I thought I would just probably move somewhere in Virginia, since that's where most of my family lives. But no, I when I was in Baltimore and I knew like I was probably only going to make one move, and I loved Baltimore. Covering the teams were great. It's a very good sports town, despite the entitlement sense of some of the fans. That's just my personal opinion. But I always wanted to go to a place where sports were number one. And to me, that was either Philadelphia, Chicago, or Boston.
All right. So when you first got here, I'm curious about people's career paths. When you first got here, you had just kind of heard the reputation of Philadelphia sports and Philadelphia fans. What did you find right away?
My very first assignment was I went to Chickies and Pete's down in South Philly for one of the playoff games, or I guess it was the wild card game, and I was like, holy smokes, there's 800 and something people here. And then for the Giants game, I traveled with the Scotty Express, which is a makeshift like school bus that was converted for fans to go. We met in the Northeast at an Exxon that had like a Dunkin' Donuts in it at 5:30 in the morning, and people are doing shots of Jaeger chased by coffee. And I thought, I'm home. These are my people. These are my people.
It didn't scare you at all.
No, like that's like I'm the crazy fan. Like I've always been the crazy fan. I didn't miss a single football game in college. I didn't miss a single basketball game. I went to everything I could get my hands on, and I've always just kind of done sports that way, just consume them in a crazy. So like I go to the crazy. I went to the Phillies games when they're terrible, and I would stay through they're losing 25-5 or whatever it is. I'm that kind of fan.
So you're raising a family, obviously, is
My mom is a crazy fan. Not everybody else. They're interested.
A fan of Philadelphia sports now?
Oh,
or
she
no?
is now. Oh yeah, she
she
cheers
is.
for. She cheers for them all. Cheers for them all, big time. She'll text me. So we always talk after Kentucky basketball games. That's just a given, and football games. But she'll text me after a Sixers game, be like, what's happening? What's going on? What's going on with Joel? Why aren't they? She loves Tyrese Maxey, obviously, given that he went to Kentucky. But yeah, so she's locked in.
All right. Well, how about your immediate family now? Your husband, Sean.
Oh, they're obsessed.
A Villanova man.
Yes. Don't hold that against him.
I see his tweets every now and then. I go,
so he works in sports.
This elitist Sean thing, this Villanova thing, it just wears me out.
That's gone into our son, who's absolutely obsessed with sports. He wears a jersey every day.
I gotta admit, I have a Villanova taint. I'll admit here, like from covering college basketball for the Inquirer back in the day when I ran into the man who was the head basketball coach there. What was his name? Roy Massimino. Miserable guy.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God, Amy. I could tell you stories.
The only time I saw Rolly was much later on in life.
The most impossible man to deal with ever.
More so than the Temple head coach at the time?
I got along tremendously with him.
I loved John Chaney.
I loved him.
I saw him in his later years, obviously, too.
He's one of my favorite guys ever in sports. But Rolly and I were it was like two Italians.
Yeah, there you go.
Button heads. All right, let's go. Well, I'll tell you some Rolly stories.
All right.
I have to tell you my famous Rolly at the Greenbelt Marriott.
Down in Maryland.
Just outside of D.C. Landover, Maryland. I'll tell you that story a little later. T-Love checking in. T-Love on a cell. What's up?
Hey, Mike, Amy, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hey, before I get started, I'm watching one of my favorite new shows, which is Landman.
You know, that's another Taylor Sheridan show, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to. That's my next up. Oh, let's see what that's about.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't want to give nothing away, but the last episode, guess who shows up in the episode?
Amy Fadul. Who shows up?
Would have been good. Jerry Jones himself.
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. Yeah. And you know, it's a Texas show. It's about oil and all the things that come with being an oil owner and everything. It's a good show. But he gives this real impassioned speech to one of the guys, another land oil owner, and he starts looking like he's ready to cry. And I'm sure the speech was written for him, but I wanted to slap him right through the television.
Well, he's like an oil man, right? That's why they put him.
He's an oil man.
Yeah, he's an oil man.
But just to hear him in that speech that he gave, you know, just to think that this guy doesn't have a heart at all, man. He's dangling Mike McCarthy, man, and the things he does is just not that I care. I mean, I want him to stay the owner of Dallas forever. You know?
Yeah.
But it was just crazy. Anyway, I think that how can you fire Sirianni for a loss of any kind? I mean, you want to see them perform. I don't see them letting us down like the Phillies did. But I just don't see how the guy has overcome a lot this year. I'm not a big fan of his, but I see
Wait a minute. Well, hold on a second. You're not a big fan of his?
No, I'm not a big fan of his, and I was not a big fan of Peterson. And, you know, I wanted him going.
Was it the Super Bowl that did you in there, T-Love?
Didn't do it.
I actually wasn't a fan of Peterson either. But it's interesting that you say that you don't think the majority, if they lose in the first round, you don't think the majority of fans would want him out?
I don't think so. Not the smart fans, anyway. I mean, there's a lot of situations. Right now, we're praying that we get our quarterback back. And, you know, to go in there and I don't see a way they could lose.
I don't see it either, which is the reason why you'd probably want them fired. If they lose a game that you don't think they could possibly lose, well, there's got to be hell to pay, no? I don't know. We'll take a break. John Kuhn is coming up at 11 o'clock. He's the Packers sidelines reporter for the radio network, a former player out there, but he's got local ties. Well, York, PA, local ties. But we'll get the lowdown on what the Packers present with the Eagles, and their quarterback's banged up as well. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Amy Fadul sitting in for Bill today. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update. update.
The big question is, will Jalen Hurts play? I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol. In order for Hurts to clear protocol, he will have to practice this week and then report no symptoms the following day. We will find out later today when practice begins at 3:30 at the link if he is out there, and then we'll find out a little bit later on the injury report. A good sign for Jalen Hurts, though, is quarterback Ian Book was waived yesterday. We will hear if Nick Sirianni has an update for us when he speaks to the media at 12:10. Former Packer John Kuhn will be joining us at the top of the hour, and Hembo from ESPN will be joining us at 11:55. The Sixers are back in action tonight as the team hosts the Wizards. They will be without Joel Embiid, Paul George, Kyle Lowry for tonight's game. You can listen to the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:50. This update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on a magnificent scale. Available with the epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen. Visit mbusa.com/EQS. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
In for Bill Colarulo today. Hopefully Bill recovers quickly. Maybe he can join us tomorrow. This is usually General Knowledge Day, General Knowledge Wednesday, but Ray Dunn also on the road with the Temple women's basketball team. So Sean Rodman is sitting in for him today. Have you listened to our General Knowledge Days, Amy?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Ray is always an underdog.
Which is odd to me.
Smart kid
Yeah.
with no life experience.
Yeah, because it's of his age.
Yeah, no life experience whatsoever.
Yes.
But smart kid. And so this is why, we always make the odds, the audience always the favorite against Ray.
Well, they have more now. They have more worldly experience.
Sometimes. Sometimes they do.
Sometimes not.
Yes. So John Kuhn will join us at 11. Hembo at 11. We haven't talked to Hembo in a really long time. Hembo's a fun guy to talk to.
I used to have him on a lot.
We had him on regularly. He was on every week, and he would always have these great – he's like a savant.
Yeah,
like
the
when
stats
it comes
that
to,
he would come up
yeah, so he's a numbers crazy kid, and that's such an asset for a show. Because the main hosts don't want to do all that kind of work, and he covers Greenberg's ass. I'll tell you, in fact, he just comes out and he's got all the knowledge for him.
Yeah, he's the guy that it's like, Sean does this too. Oh, who won the 1994 Heisman? Not only can they tell you that, but they can tell you who the runner-up was and how the voting. You know what I mean? Like that kind of.
Yes, I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
It goes in and out of my head. Like I don't retain that kind of knowledge.
We do that trivia all the time. That's what Shawnee wants to do all the time.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. But name the last 20 first-round picks in the NFL. Oh yeah, all the time.
That's amazing. All right, so that's still to come. And we also, I teased this V8 juice thing that I'll get into sometime in the 11 o'clock hour. But we have some text on if the Eagles lose, what's Sirianni's situation. Sean, what do you got there?
We have a number of texts, and they're kind of on both sides right now. Christoph from Neptune, New Jersey, says, I believe he should go because he is showing his identity of not getting over the line if they lose when it matters most. Then we also have...
See, that's the theory. Like, if he's... how many coaches have lost their job because they haven't been able to get over the hump? Right?
Sustained.
So it's not sustained enough.
I mean,
Sirianni.
listen, you're looking at, we were just talking about the Steelers, Mike Tomlin. There's been talk in years past about him losing his job.
Yeah.
Because they haven't gotten to the AFC Championship recently.
Right.
They certainly haven't gotten to the Super Bowl, but they've had good success. But that's an organization that's not.
Long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
The longest tenured coach.
All right. It is 11 o'clock, and you are listening to WPEN and WPEN HD, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. The Eagles are a 4-point favorite on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. And a lot of people aren't giving the Packers much of a chance, but let's get to our guest who knows better than anybody. He covers the Packers. He's the sideline reporter. He played for the Packers. He's a firmly entrenched in Green Bay Packer knowledge. Let's bring in Shippensburg's finest, John Kuhn, joining us. John, how are you?
Yeah, baby, Shippensburg's finest. Happy to join you guys, man. Big game this weekend, so far away.
All right, let's get the lowdown on what the Eagles are up against this week. First of all, the health of the quarterback. What can you tell us about Jordan Love with the banged-up elbow? They took him out last week. They didn't put him back in the game. What's the situation?
Okay, so, yes, officially, funny bone hit during the game, numbness in his throwing hand during the game, removed and exited right when things started getting a little screwy there against Chicago. To me, it was all precautionary. I watched Jordan Love the entire time. I watched him continue to throw. I talked to Matt LaFleur at halftime, said Jordan feels much better. We will see how the second half goes. Nothing about this seems serious to me as it pertains to Jordan Love playing in this football game and being able to play at 100%. However, the big play threat for the Green Bay Packers, Christian Watson, did go down with an ACL in this game. Unfortunately, was probably not even going to play in this game and was going to rest up for the playoffs, but had to suit up because Packers numbers were down at wide receiver because of some illnesses. They've had colds and flus going around this locker room here because it's cold and flu season, and unfortunately lost him in this football game. So they're going to be down some ammunition on the offensive side. It just isn't going to be at the quarterback position.
Okay, so Let's look at the matchups then. The Green Bay defense against what the Eagles are going to be doing offensively. How well does Green Bay handle the run? Because they're going to get a large dose of it.
Well, I think Green Bay has done a better job this year with their run defense than they have in most of Matt LaFleur's tenure. And a big portion of that is Edgerrin Cooper, the rookie linebacker who is going to be a household name within a year or two if he's not already in your media guide. This guy is an absolute stud. Only played 10 plays in Brazil against the Eagles first time, and in fact, one of Saquon Barkley's touchdowns there in the first half was because of a lineup error out of the rookie. So he has gotten immensely better, just like the rookies in the Eagles secondary have got tremendously better. So I think that's going to be a big factor here in the run game for the Packers defense against Saquon is going to be Edgerrin Cooper. How does he slow down or mitigate what Saquon can do and what Saquon did do in the first game? The Eagles' offensive line is so big, so strong, so powerful, right? They're going to get theirs. They just can't let Saquon absolutely blow this game wide open.
All right, and to that end, Green Bay is ranked 7th in the league in rushing defense, so that's a pretty good number. But there seems to be a disparity in their numbers, home and away. They're not nearly as good on the road as they are, obviously, in Lambeau. Now, I don't know why that would be. They're gonna come in here. It might be Lambeau-like conditions. So, what light can you shed on that?
Well, so generally what happens in these things is when you play on the road, right, the noise and the environment and everything, it plays a big part. And what I mean by that is the Packers' numbers being better at home, it's because offenses can't do the motions, the shifts, and all that dressing up the eye candy before the snap because they're running low on the play count. They have simpler calls when they're on the road. When the Packers go on the road themselves to play and offenses can operate at their normal tempo and get the play calls in and out of the huddle and to the line of scrimmage quicker, that's when they have to deal with all the eye candy and all the foolery, and that's where things can get a little bit tricky for them. That's where you can scheme them up for some big plays. I anticipate the Packers, having to play this game, and like you said at the beginning of this thing, now a whole lot of people are giving them a chance. I expect them to play kind of with a, this is our last stand mentality, putting extra people in the box, making run blitzes turn into pass blitzes if it turns out to be play action. So I think they're going to have to play this game incredibly aggressive in order to try and slow down this Philadelphia Eagle offense. All
right, now you know what you're up against offensively against this defense. They're ranked number 1, although Green Bay's ranked pretty high as well offensively, but they're fewest points allowed, fewest yards per play, pass attempts per play, fewest first downs. They've allowed opponents to only score on 31.6% of their drives. Those are pretty lofty numbers with Vic Fangio. So how do the Packers attack?
Well, honestly, this is one of those things where both teams, you're looking at top 5 offenses, top 5 defenses, and, the Eagles, man, they have just gotten better throughout the year. We got this film, and I went back and watched that game in Brazil. These two teams don't look anything like what they did then, right? The young secondary players for the Eagles have emerged and have really exploded that defense, right? It made that defense so much more formidable. And Jordan Davis and everybody on the inside there, they've kind of developed. And Zach Bond coming over and exploding the way that he has this year. I mean, you're talking about 3 different levels on the Eagles defense that pose threats. How are the Packers going to get by? Whether it's going to have to be a heavy dose of Josh Jacobs. He was, the Packers' big free agent signing this last offseason. He's been an absolute blessing in Green Bay this year. It's going to have to be a heavy dose of him. And when Jordan Love takes his shots, he's going to have to connect. And that's easier said than done, considering your big play target, Christian Watson, being out in this game. We don't have another guy that we can just line up one-on-one and say, run past him, jump higher than him. So it's going to have to be a lot of scheming done by Matt LaFleur in the game plan this week.
Talking to John Kuhn, former Green Bay Packer fullback, legendary fullback. Do you lament the fact that the fullback has kind of been phased out of football?
I mean, yeah.
Is your heart broken?
No, there's people doing fullback things, right?
Yeah.
You have guys that are listed as the fullbacks, but then on every team you have a guy that plays really what the fullback was or what the fullback is. For the Packers, his name is Chris Brooks, and he's more of a halfback, right? He carries the football, and he's very capable of doing that. But he does the dirty stuff. If you got a counter, like a counter GT pull where he's got to lead up on the inside linebacker, he does that. Tucker Kraft, he goes and cuts the backside end. So, we just spread the job title out to several different guys here in Green Bay. There are some teams that still rock with a fullback now. I mean, San Francisco, Miami, Baltimore, they all have really good, Minnesota, they all have really good fullbacks, and they use them quite a bit. So I got a lot of pride in those guys like the C.J. Hams of the world, the Alec Ingolds of the world, the Patrick Cards of the world. And guess what? Those guys all wear C's on their chest. They're all captains of their football teams. So that's really cool to see as well.
The Eagles actually use a fullback from time to time anymore. But let me get it. Your story is a pretty amazing story on how you got to the NFL from Shippensburg. So you grew up in New York. Who were you a fan of?
Oh, you're going to love this. The Philly fans drove me absolutely bonkers. I was a Cowboys fan. Now, my dad grew up in the 70s. My dad grew up in the 70s. Who was great in the 70s?
Steelers.
Oh, you're the worst.
Well,
you are the worst.
And his very first team was the Steelers.
You're the worst kind of fan. Really. Hopping on a bandwagon.
No, his dad did.
No, your dad. But so you followed your dad.
My dad did. Absolutely. Don't you follow your dad?
No,
Yes.
I had my individual life.
John, don't let him bully you. You just take that
He's not gonna
Steelers
bully
fandom.
me.
How far?
It's also he was at least in Pennsylvania. It wasn't like he was a Steelers fan living in Ohio.
I get it, but come on.
You want me to be an Eagles fan? Look at how you pressured people to want to be an Eagles fan.
Let me explain what fandom is, John. Fandom is you root for the team closest to your home area because they represent your home area, right? Was Philadelphia closest to you?
Philadelphia, Baltimore. Baltimore didn't have a team when I was growing up as a kid. They didn't get one until it was like 97 or 98 or something like that. Whatever. But yeah. Yes, it'd be great to root for that team that was closest to you. But again, I heard too many Eagles fans, just like yourself, coming out of the WordWorks, driving me absolutely bonkers. But honestly, this is what's great about football. The Eagles fans are incredibly passionate. The Packers fans are incredibly passionate. This is two of the better fan bases in all of professional sports that are going to come together here this weekend and have this matchup. And I don't imagine that there's going to be too many Packer fans in the link, even though Packer fans travel very well.
Well, you think they'd be afraid to come to the link?
Well, listen, the last time we were there, I can remember the last time we were there. My father-in-law, physical altercation with a Philadelphia Eagle fan because he had something to say to my wife. So, yeah, I can imagine there being some nefarious things happening in those stands this weekend.
We'd hate to have that happen.
Listen,
John,
nice people.
Yeah, we are nice people here. Yeah, John, you did Sports Talk Radio in Green Bay for a long time, Milwaukee. Like, what's the difference, fan base wise, Sports Talk Radio from there to here?
I would just say Philadelphia takes it up over the top, and honestly, to be frank with you, I lived it. I grew up my entire life with it there in York, at college at Shippensburg. 3/4 of my teammates at Shippensburg were Eagles fans. So I understand the passion and the emotion that goes into it. I would say Green Bay has that passion. They just don't show it as quickly. It doesn't just they don't go 0 to 60, with the snap of a finger. But if you lose 2 or 3 or 4 games in a row, then they'll start getting a little cantankerous. Eagles fans, no, you don't have that leash. You don't have that leash.
Hence, we're talking about the coach being fired if they lose the first round game.
Unbelievable. Isn't that the truth? And honestly, when you talk in Green Bay right now, there aren't necessarily fans talking about Matt LaFleur being fired, but they're talking about Matt LaFleur and some of his inefficiencies. And this is a guy who's been one of the most efficient coaches in the NFL. Through 100 games, there's only 2 coaches that have won more games in their first 100 games than Matt LaFleur. And up here, we're even talking about him and his inefficiencies. So it goes both ways. It's all the way around. This is what the NFL does, and fans absolutely eat it up.
All right, the moment of truth for John Kuhn. Who wins the game, and what's the score on Sunday?
I think the Eagles win this game, and I think they win this game by a 2-score margin.
Ooh!
I just
like
think,
it.
Honestly. Now, I don't hope it goes that way, and I'll be on the sideline, commentating for my team to do better than that. I just think Jair Alexander being down in the secondary for the Packers, obviously a disadvantage when you got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown running up and down the field there. Saquon Barkley, we're going to have to put extra people in the box to help take care of him. He had 3 touchdowns in the first game. Just way too much firepower offensively. And then defensively with Nakobe Dean and Jalen Carter and everybody else up and down that whole defensive side. They've gotten so good this year. I just don't know how the Packers keep up because it's about where you're at when you go into the playoffs. And the Packers right now, for the first time, are in a spot of adversity. Can they flip the switch? Can they change it? Maybe. We've seen crazier things happen in the NFL. I'm just not banking on it.
Well, I hope you're okay on the sidelines there, with the Green Bay fans.
Hey, listen, I'll be fine.
This is going to go viral in Green Bay,
Listen, I've had tremendous luck myself at the link, honestly, to tell you the truth. Winning a divisional game in 2010 on our way to a Super Bowl victory, scored a touchdown earlier in the season there at the link. So I got fond memories when I come back to I feel good. I'm comfortable in my skin. I just hope the Packers can pull up an upset this weekend.
Yeah, I think you're right. John, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, guys.
John Kuhn, Green Bay, former Green Bay player, now the sideline
scores?
Reporter. How about that? I didn't expect that.
I thought
he would say it was a close game.
Yeah, I thought well, maybe Philadelphia pulls out a close one or something.
I might bet that right now.
2 scores.
I may 2 scores. Might take that. 610-632-0975. Hembo coming up a little later in this hour. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Tyrone Johnson.
How many teams?
Show 610-632-0975. We got a lot of texts coming in. I'm looking at some statistics here. I don't know if how much merit they have, but I'm looking at total offense. You know, the Packers are ranked higher than the Eagles in total offense.
Yeah, it's funny. Matt Menarek had that.
Yeah, he had some great stats.
Great stats, and you really dive in deep in it. But he's the one that pointed out the home versus away. But yeah, I think that obviously not having Watson hurts them a little bit, but I was surprised that they were as high as they were.
Yeah. Total offense, they're fourth. The Eagles are sixth. Total defense, Eagles are 1. Packers are 2. Turnover differential.
That's a big one.
The Packers are ahead of the Eagles.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. There was that time where the Eagles didn't have a turnover for a while. Remember? Like the stats are a little bit skewed from the early season.
It's only plus 12 to plus 11. Though. Yeah. So passing offense. Way ahead of the Eagles. What?
There's a reason A.J. Brown was not happy for a little bit.
Passing defense, the Eagles are number 1. The Packers are 5. That's not that far away. Takeaways, the Packers have 31. The Eagles have 26. Rushing offense, the Eagles are second, but the Packers are 5th. This looks like a pretty even match.
But look at scoring defense.
All right, right? Yeah, scoring defense. The Eagles are 6th. And the Packers are 7th.
No, scoring defense.
Scoring offense.
2.
I'm sorry. Scoring defense, Eagles are 2. Packers are 6.
Yeah, almost at 20. They allow almost 20 points a game. So, it is a very even matchup. That's what goes back to your first point, though. When you look at it, everything, like quarterback, okay, you could say it's going to be Jordan Love. You could say you would have an argument probably on both sides. I think some people might say Jordan Love right now, just given the fact that the way that the season ended and that Jalen Hurts hasn't played in 3 weeks. But every other aspect is fairly even. Though I think the wide receivers are going to definitely go the Eagles' way. I don't think there's any question. And running back is Saquon Barkley, but it's not leaps and bounds. It's not like Josh Jacobs is a terrible, but he had over 1,300 rushing yards. He was a good one.
Are Eagle fans, do you feel they're comfortable right now?
I think they are comfortable.
Or are they nervous? There's a reason why we're not getting as much reaction today.
I think they're comfortable.
They're comfortable.
I think they feel good.
And they like what John Kuhn just had to say.
Oh, he said that Eagles are going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Two scores, yeah.
I did 2 scores.
Yeah.
I guess it could be 10 points.
It could. All right.
It could be 6 points, technically.
We have one text question on youth. What does that mean, Sean?
Yes. One text coming in. This one is, let me see where it went. How realistic are you worried about the defense with the young players? Do you think they can rise to the occasion, or will the youth hurt them?
Oh, like a Cooper DeJean,
like
maybe?
a Cooper DeJean.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Quinyon Mitchell.
I don't look at him as young.
Yeah, that's interesting because Vic Fangio was literally asked about that because we saw it last year, how many of those guys hit that proverbial rookie wall. If there's a rookie wall for Quinyon Mitchell, he never saw it. He jumped right over it.
Yeah, they're 2 guys I don't think. They play like veterans. They really do. I'm not worried about them at all.
Fangio was like, he doesn't view them as rookies at all.
Would you throw some of the pass rush into that mix as well, though?
The pass rush is concerning me.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, they're a little thin there, and I would love to see them get pressure.
I don't know
on
if
them.
that's youth or just inexperience.
Yeah, it's probably inexperience.
But
Sweat's been pretty steady, I guess.
He has been,
but nobody else has.
No, and that's where you were hoping that Bryce Huff would, and obviously had the injury.
Yeah.
But even before that,
All right, let me ask you this quirky question.
is this about V8?
About V8 juice.
Yes, I'm
Now,
so excited. I have no idea what this is.
Somebody tweeted out, somebody named Glitter Baby.
Okay, perfect.
Tweeted out, I want to know who TF is keeping V8 vegetable juice in business. Now, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of V8. Like, am I odd?
Yes.
I am?
Yes. My first answer was like,
You're not a V8?
No.
What about tomato juice?
Unless it's served to me with a vodka and a celery stick, then no, I'm not.
See,
I know people that drink it.
I like a nice V8 every now and then. I haven't had one in a long time, but every now and then when I go to a grocery store, I'll see
Is it like the spice? Like what is?
It's the refreshing tomato celery type. It's like you're eating a salad.
Oh,
but,
see, that's
you're
not selling it at all.
No.
You should not do their ad campaign.
Here's the thing about V8: you can't drink it. You have to just kind of like
you eat it.
You taste it, like little slips at a time, and you get that. It's like a
bourbon.
bite. It's like a bite of salad.
Then I would just have a salad.
Well,
But I can't have a salad, so I just blended it all up.
You have to build a salad.
True.
See, V8 you could just
You
pour
just grab
and
it.
get a little sip.
No,
Now, I'm a fan of V8.
I know they have like the V8 fruits ones too that combine it.
I don't do the fruit. I want to get the vegetables in there.
Well, I think they have vegetables in it too. It's a fruit and vegetable
Really?
situation to kind of mask the taste of having a blended up salad.
Well,
I guess some prefer that,
Do you
though.
like a smoothie every now and then?
Every now and again, I like
All right,
a
a
smoothie.
green smoothie?
No.
I'm with Amy on this
You
one.
don't go.
I've had those like
You're not a vegetable smoothie.
like when you have
person.
like the kale and the carrots.
You're not-
you
you're
better
not.
throw an apple in there. I'm not going to drink that. You better throw at least one apple in there. I need to have something tart,
I know
something
this
a little
is
sweet.
a weird thing. People think that sometimes I'm weird because I talked about the gas station hot dog yesterday. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. V8 and Glitter Baby, I want to know TF is keeping V8
Okay.
vegetable juice in business.
Glitter Baby is probably in her 20s, or him. They are in their 20s. There's no way. Their grandparents drank V8. That's what she associates with.
Wait a
She's in her
minute.
20s.
Does that mean I'm a grandparent?
No, it doesn't. But for her, for anybody that has that kind of tweet and his name is Glitter Baby, yeah.
Sean, give me this commercial. There used to be a V8 commercial. I could have had a V8. It was like a popular commercial.
I know which one you're talking about.
You know what
I'll
I'm
find
talking
it.
about?
Yeah.
All right. 610-632-0975. V8 juice has nothing to do with the Packers and the Eagles or the Sixers,
Or Glitter Baby.
which we will talk about in a little bit. It's the Mike Missanelli Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The big question is, will Jalen Hurts play? I'm Sean Rodman, and this update is brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol. We'll find out later today when practice begins at 3:30 at the link if Hurts is out there or not from the media. A good sign, though, for Hurts, his quarterback Ian Book was waived yesterday. Sirianni will speak to the media at 12:10, and hopefully he'll have an update for us, but most likely not. John Kuhn just joined us at the top of the hour there, and he believes the Eagles will win, but he does say that Jordan Love is expected to play. Hembo from ESPN will join us at 11:55. The Sixers are back in action tonight. No Embiid, no PG, and no Kyle Lowry for tonight's game. You can listen to the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:50. This update is also brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Vitalico.
9:30. House of Jealous Lover. It's one of my favorite tunes.
Good one. That's a
Yeah,
good
it's
song.
good. Give me the House of Jealous. I need to hear the voices. There we go. That's good. It's Mike Missanelli Show. Amy Fiddle sitting in for Bill Colarulo today. So, Amy, I was looking for stuff to watch on TV last night, and I happened upon a 9 o'clock ESPN televised inaugural event
Oh, yeah. TGL.
of the TGL golf.
I actually watched part of it.
You did?
I did.
All right. I want to get a. I'm a big golf fan. I like to watch golf.
We have to preface this by I love golf too.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So
it comes from this place when we say this.
I got bored to tears.
Yeah, it was bad. And the thing is, they put so much into it.
They really did. And I'm trying to figure out, like, why should I be excited about this? Because I said, all right, let me tune in here. Well, this is different. Why should I be excited about it? Why is this not going to get boring for people to watch? Because I couldn't get through 9 holes.
Yeah, and we like golf. So I know
Yes.
people that don't like golf, and they wonder why I can watch a golf tournament on television. Well, that's boring. I'm like, well, it's just so interesting because of the different shots and the approaches and the different players and the course. And this, so if for people didn't watch, it's simulated until the very end.
Yes.
So each hole has a simulated drive, simulated second shot, and then you get up to the green, which is, I guess, a part simulation because your ball has to approach it, right?
Yeah.
And then you
it's
finish.
the real green.
It's a real
right?
green, but the approach shot was a simulated shot. Who knows? Whatever. And to me, I was just like, I don't get it. I'm not going to, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And I just wanted to run it by because I was texting with a couple of my friends last night, and they didn't get it either. And they put a big investment. The Tiger Woods Royce, they put their stamp on, and everybody gravitates to it.
Yeah, they got the big names behind
The
it.
networks get all of the tizzy and the whole bit. And I'm going, all right, the screen is interesting because it's 4 stories high, right? And so it's a big picture, and it's all generated. It's like they they design the courses on a computer, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So the layout is very interesting, but I don't know if I want to see pro golfers play Golf Simulator.
No, I'd rather see him out there. I get it. To me, the most interesting thing was when they posted, and I think they posted it on their Instagram, Tiger Woods, they asked if he could hit the camera that was at the top of this.
Yeah.
He said, where is it? And they pointed it out, and they kind of like waved at it.
Uh-huh.
And he did. He literally teed it up and
He hit it.
hit it. Like, to me, that was the most interesting. And
Yeah.
that wasn't even at the event.
I'm glad that you brought Tiger Woods. I'm not a fan.
See, now, this is where we're going to have a problem.
Okay, you're a fan.
Big time.
All right. I'm not a fan of his personality. Now,
No.
they had him on to commentate a few holes, and he can't have any fun. The guy just
I mean, have
can't
you
have
met him?
any fun.
I think this is his fun version. This is his fun version.
but
He's better than he used to be.
He is?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, but it's like, dude, like, chill out and have some fun. Like, he just bugs me.
He's a robot.
Why?
I think
Why do you have to be a
there's
robot
one-
at this stage
come
of
on,
your life?
There's one reason why he's a robot.
Why? Because his ex-wife hit him over the head with a
No,
golf ball?
his dad.
Why?
The guy was never allowed to do anything.
I get
You
it,
heard the
but no,
stories
listen,
how he was in high
you're the
school.
most accomplished and best golfer in history. Like, at this point, can you just let it go?
No, I think he's a robot. This is him letting it go. Like when you watch him, so I watched the Pro-Am with the father-son.
Uh-huh.
Great stuff. Him like being excited when Charlie got the hole-in-one, that's about and he was very excited. But his joking about like, oh, now you have to buy, like that's about as animated as he's ever going to get. He's not. He's a robot. He's a robot. But he's like, you said it, one of the best of all time.
Well, he is the best of all time. I have no problem saying that he's the best golfer of all time. I just don't like the guy is just like he makes me uncomfortable. He does. I don't know what it is.
His personality reminds me of like a Tom Brady vibe at times. Like Tom Brady, I think can't really joke. Even when he jokes,
agree.
I'm like,
yeah, I agree.
that
But
doesn't seem-
you still like him. You still love Tiger.
yes. I don't like Tom Brady. Don't put that in. Don't put that in there. Okay, I do. I love Tiger.
I'm curious. Like, listen,
he's a robot,
I've
though.
done this before. I want to know, like, if you're the best of all time, I think you should be able to connect better with people. Because at that point, you've become the best of all time. What is there for you to hold back on at that point?
I feel like the reason he is the best of all time is because he cannot relate to people, and that's all he did was golf since he was like 3. I mean, we've seen the clips. His dad controlled every aspect. I think he didn't know how to be a kid.
I get it, but how old is he now?
Well, I think that's why he kind of went crazy. He never had that experience when he was 19 or 20 because he was already an adult. One of his best friends on tour was Marco Mira.
Yeah.
Marco Mira is 20 years older than him.
Yeah.
That tells me everything I need to know.
He couldn't relate to anybody. I get it, but I'm just saying, now at this stage of your life,
I think this is
can't
him.
you let your pants down a little bit? Well,
I
don't want to say that.
Yeah, no, that's not
the
for
wrong,
him.
Not with him.
Yeah,
Not with
that's
him.
the wrong thing to say about
Already
him.
done that. I think that you talk to some of the guys that are younger. They say they see a different side of him, like the Justin Thomases and the Roy
Because they got close to him and they can
But then
joke
think about
with
how
him.
long that
and they idolize him.
Right.
Those guys are sickening the way they idolize him.
But I think that him joking with them that's as much as you're ever going to get. He's never going to be that affable guy. That's why it's a shame that Phil Mickelson is the villain, because Phil Mickelson was the affable guy. People did he was your everyman.
Yeah.
He was the most
But
relatable.
this is a new venture. At this point, aren't you trying to sell a product?
Yes, but tigers can't change their stripes, and I absolutely meant that pun. 100%.
All right. I mean, I don't know how many people saw that last night or how you feel
I'd
that
love
time.
to see the ratings. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah. 610-632-0975. God bless them. Good luck with that. But I can't imagine anybody, hardcore golf fans are looking at that and going, that's boring. What do I have to watch this for?
We were not.
No, unless they can do some kind of AI where some crocodile comes out of the
that would be
wall.
interesting. Or make some drinking contest with it.
Right.
Something.
All right. The Mike Missanelli Show. Amy's sitting in for Bill today. We're back after this.
Andrew Salciunas.
I wake up this morning.
Mike Missanelli Show. A guy just threatened me on Twitter. He said, Saquon Betta is his name. Watch your mouth how you talk about Tiger, you weirdo. Well, I'm sorry, Saquon Betta. I just had an opinion about the guy, and I think he's just very odd to me, and it's always held me back. Well, I can admit he's the greatest golfer of all time, but his demeanor is always like, I go, you're the best ever. Like, why would you be miserable? I don't get it.
Do you think he's miserable or just?
I think he's miserable. Like I get what it is about. Like he is so programmed for perfection.
I think that's it.
That anything less than that makes him miserable. But the other side of that is, look what you are.
Yeah. Don't you enjoy? I always wonder though, because you and I play golf.
Yes.
Is golf fun for people that are that good all the time, or is it frustrating because not every round you're shooting 70?
Yeah, I would not know that feeling.
Listen,
but
I couldn't have a
listen,
clue.
I assume that you're a professional and everybody expects you to be perfect, and there's a certain pressure in that. Well, when you're prohibitively the best ever, I don't get the anger, the aloofness.
Yeah.
I just don't get that part of it.
He's a little prickly.
Yeah,
He's a little prickly,
right,
but I think he's
anyway,
less prickly now.
I gotta wash my mouth because
That's right. People are going to come.
Tiger fans out there, they're going to come. All right, let's go back to the text board here. We got some text on Sirianni if they lose, and we got some text on V8.
Yes.
I gotta start with the V8.
You got a commercial for me? You want to play my commercial?
Yes, we can.
Before you, let's hear. This is a commercial. You could have had a V8.
Now that you've had a drink, oh, what a time to think. Wow, I could have had a V8.
Yeah, he's
Back in the whole day through, oh, what the
smacks himself in the head. It's like, I missed out.
Wow, I could have
I
had
could
a
have had a
V8.
V8.
Yeah. Instead of
V8 cocktail
having a
vegetable
cookie.
juice is a great tasting healthful blend. That's
Healthful
naturally
blend,
low in
Amy.
calories, only
It's a
35
healthful
or 6
blend.
ounce
Sean
serving.
Rodman, what year is this
Remember,
commercial?
it's time to think of having a V8
1978.
Wow, I could have had a V8.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying.
I remember the commercial. I could have had a V8 because it's healthy. You know,
Perfect.
I like the celery taste. It's got a celery background taste to it.
I like celery.
All right, well, there you go.
All right, you know what?
You stir a Bloody Mary with a celery, right? You eat the celery stalk,
I
right?
love celery.
That's a V8.
I'm going to remember that.
Well,
All right, go ahead with
there are some suggestions in the V8s as well. Joe from Jersey, V8 is gross, but V8 Splash is actually pretty nice to drink.
Splash is the one
That's
with
what
fruit.
the fruit in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was another one with someone had said that the spicy one is also a good one. A number of people said that.
Like a Bloody Mary.
But I think there are potential violations in some of these, we could say.
All right.
Someone wanted to know, Mike, this is Keith from Marlton. Is it a violation to use V8 to cook with? I use it in pasta fagioli.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wait. That is absolutely a violation.
You're going to ask me that question?
There's no way you can ask.
Pasta fagioli, as we say in Italian.
There's another one.
Fagioli. All right. That's all right.
Ralph in Mississippi, V8 in beer for a hangover is great and puts you back in the game.
Huh. Never tried that.
I don't know if
like
that's
a semi-haired dog. You put
does
V8
seem
in
like it.
beer after you're drunk.
That sounds like a beer mosa.
Yeah,
Beer
V8
Bloody Mary.
in a soup. Come on, man.
There's also
seriously.
apparently V8 energy drinks are hella good, according to one from
they're
Mash.
hella good.
in
Well, you
Nicholson.
know it's good then.
They're good. It's hella good. There you go. All right. What do we got on Sirianni?
Sirianni, there's a number of people that keep going back and forth. Dawood in the Northeast. Now I get that Sirianni name is besides some of the greats in wins and all that good stuff that Bill could cite in his sleep. But if he can't beat Green Bay as a favorite, end up losing the first round 3 of the last 4 years, he's cooked like that last hot dog on the roller at 7-Eleven, and I'm hiring Ben Johnson.
Well, see, there you go. I think that's maybe a majority view, if that ever happens. Now we'll take those calls for like 4 days if that happens, right? And then people, their better senses will come to them.
Yeah, because it's what's the better option? He wanted Ben. Who did he want?
Ben Johnson.
Okay, you look at that and think, yeah. I mean, it's just a rehash, I feel like, anymore. But I feel like there was a texter earlier that had a very leveled take on this, saying, there's not a lot of no-name coaches, meaning these guys that you don't expect a lot from, that are winning at a good clip, and that you have a 70+ percentage as far as your win goes for the regular season. And 2 years ago he was in the Super Bowl. It's not like it was 10 years ago he was in the Super Bowl.
The sensible part is you would never do something like that. But this is a very reaction based town, and so the immediate reaction would be, how people go when somebody loses a big game, I'm done with this team.
Yes.
Like that's the reaction. I'm done, and that would be the reaction. I'm done with Sirianni, and then 4 days later they would go, well, that's pretty stupid.
Maybe I shouldn't have thrown out the baby with the bathwater.
That's what we are here. That's what I'm conditioned.
Knee-jerk reaction.
In doing 100 years of sports talk radio. All right, let's go to Jerry L on a cell. Jerry, what's up?
Michael, how about your boy with Fagioli? Come on.
Fagioli.
I'm trying. I'm not Italian.
I mean, but still.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
The thought of V8, and I love V8, that's why I called, anywhere near macaroni is a disgrace.
Of course it is. It's like, come on. It's like when Henry Hill at the end of Goodfellas. I ordered spaghetti. Meanwhile, I got the noodles, egg noodles, and ketchup.
Ketchup. Michael, I just have a quick note on your co-host today. What a gracious lady she is. I worked down the park, and one day she was at a game with a friend, and all I did between innings when I didn't have anything to do was stare at her. So I go over to her eventually, and I said, Amy, I'm sorry I've been gawking at you. And she said, no, that's quite all right.
Jerry, you can't be gawking at people anymore.
I was kind of subtle.
He just wanted
I don't
to
know
say
how
hello.
Amy feels about that.
Just wanted to say hello, Jerry. You're always welcome to say hello.
And that's what I eventually came up and said, I'm sorry, but come
You did.
on, Mike.
Wait, do you remember?
always say hi.
Hold on a second. Do you remember a creepy guy coming up to you saying, I've been gawking at you all
No,
day?
I remember people coming up wanting to say hi. It's always good to say hello.
It was easy. It had a red shirt with staff on it.
Jerry, you like the Eagles in this game?
Yes, Michael. They're two very catchable drops away from having 14 wins or 15 wins.
Well, yeah, I get that, but that doesn't really apply in this game.
They win. Mike, Barkley's drop, they win that game.
Yeah, well, those things happen. See, I never go back and say if this would happen.
Michael, throw either one of those guys a pass 100 times, and they'll catch it 100 times.
I get it, but they didn't in that particular game, so you can't just add 2 wins to them.
No, I'm just saying how.
I'm looking at this particular game. Yeah, when you get the Packers coming in here, and you look at all the numbers and what can happen in this game, you think the Eagles are decidedly better, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they're at least 7 points or less.
Okay. So you would bet this game. You take the Eagles.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're a sharp man, so I'm going with you, I think.
Mikey, this is a good, I think other than the hustle and bustle around the Lions, they're the best team. The Lions have just got that thing working.
Yeah, I agree. I'm afraid of that game. But let me ask you, since you're an Italian man who called in, how come Italians cut off the words at the end?
Yes, like prosciutto.
Prosciutto or mozzarella. Or like fagioli. Like, where do we get fagioli?
Because, the vowel at the end is there, and yet you don't pronounce it.
It's assumed.
You know what? We cut to the point.
There you go.
We cut to the chase much quicker.
We do. All right.
When those other syllables add a little additional work.
Listen,
have a good day.
All right. There
Thanks,
you go.
Jerry.
Yeah, I grew up Italian 100%, and it was just assumed. I never even asked the question.
No, like
why we cut off words.
I would be. We lived in South Philly for years when I moved here, and it's like, oh yeah, here's our prosciutto and mellow salad. All right, it says prosciutto, but okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
All right. All right, so let's prepare for Hembo with his big stats. I'm looking forward to talking to Paul Hembekides of the ESPN morning show Get Up. He'll have plenty of great stats that will indicate the Eagles' romp. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The big question is, will Jalen Hurts play? I'm Sean Rodman, and this update is brought to you by Bradford White. When you need a new water heater, choose one that is built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol. We'll find out later today if he practices or not. Good sign, though, for Jalen Hurts. His quarterback, Ian Book, was waived yesterday. We'll hear from Nick Sirianni around 12:10. John Kuhn joined the show earlier and does expect Jordan Love to play. And Paul Hembekides from ESPN will join us after the break. The Sixers are back in action tonight as the team hosts the Wizards. Embiid, Paul George, and Lowry are all out for tonight's game. You can listen to the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is also brought to you by Ace Hardware Home Services. Got a leaky pipe, having issues with your heat? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it. They've got the pros in your home to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
With Amy Fadula today, Bill Colarola out, and so is Ray Dunn. Sean Rodman is taking over. We got Eagles-Packers on Sunday, and I can't think of a guest that I've been anticipating more than our next guest because he always fills your head with pertinent numbers. We used to have a theme song. He was a regular guest. We had a theme song. I don't know what happened to it, but it went something like H-E-M-B-O, Hembo, something like that, right?
That was close. It was definitely something like that.
H-E-M-B-O, Hembo, yeah, it was something like that. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen. He hails from the Westchester area, Church Farm School grad, and the executive producer and content producer for the ESPN Morning Show, Get Up, Paul Hembo. Hembo!
Oh, if it is not the dulcet tones of the midday Messiah. Mike Missanelli, how you doing, brother? It's been
Hembo, I missed you, brother. I missed you.
That makes two of us. This has been a heck of a year for my Philadelphia Eagles, doing the best I can to ensure that the national media do not spread the propaganda about my beloved team. And I'm feeling an awful lot better, as you might imagine, about Sunday's matchup, given the news over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, and the news, of course, is the quarterback is probably going to be okay. We don't have that, definitely, unless you have some inside information.
I have no inside information, but the combination of the Ian Book news yesterday and the Jeff McClain reporting this morning about Jalen Hurts at practice, I think I'm just sort of doing the tea leaf reading, as I have been wont to do. But here's the thing. Working in the media the way that I do for as long as I have, as you well know, these things you kind of see coming. Very rarely are you stunned when a quarterback doesn't start. Very stunned are you really surprised or taken off guard by bad news. I have a good feeling that if Jalen Hurts was not going to be ready to go, we would have heard some of the whispers emanating from that building, just sort of giving us the forewarning. We have not heard that, and for those reasons, I am, we'll say, optimistic that we'll see Jalen Hurts under center on Sunday.
And we would have seen the line go down a little bit. It's a solid 4.5 right now, which to me is a very comfortable line. So let's dig into it as only you can, because I missed your face, but also your information. So what do you got for us that would indicate the Eagles win this game handily?
I'll tell you this much. When this line opened hypothetically at Eagles -3 before the matchup was even set, I was a tad bit worried, asking myself, is there something that we do not know? Perhaps it's a hedge against the possibility that Jalen Hurts does not play. But, of course, we're going to see this number shoot up past 5, maybe even closer to 6, should Jalen Hurts be cleared and ready to go.
Ooh.
The single biggest reason, Mike, why I believe the Eagles are going to win this game and do so handily is because of Vic Fangio's defense. We have spent so much time in the national media talking about Saquon Barkley, and rightfully so. But you and I both know that the single biggest difference maker for the Eagles year over year is Vic Fangio and this remarkably well-coached, disciplined, sound defense that allows fewer explosive plays than any in the NFL. That is Vic Fangio's staple, and the reason why it's so incredibly important and perhaps even instructive this weekend is because the Packers don't have their biggest playmaker. Christian Watson is out for the season. He is their one vertical threat, a player for whom, when he is on the field, their explosive play rate literally doubles. Without Christian Watson, it's going to be 3 yards and a cloud of dust for Josh Jacobs. It's going to be methodical drives by Jordan Love, who is good, but somewhat immature and erratic. So I'm seeing a game in which the Packers might be able to move it, but they're not going to put the ball in the end zone too many times. I would top the Packers. If you asked me to play like the team total, I would set that number at something like Packers 19.5. I do not see them moving the ball terribly proficiently against this Vic Fangio defense.
All right, we'll get back to these numbers. I got to remind people that you're listening to WPEN and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Paul Hembo, a.k.a. Hembo, with us. All right, Hembo, let's look at the Eagles' offense versus the Packers' defense, because the numbers are pretty good for the Packers defensively against the rush. That's what the Eagles do best. And I assume that they'll start off by trying to get some rust off of Jalen Hurts by running the football early. So how does that dynamic work with your numbers?
This is what I think about the Packers defense, Mike. I think it is one that, to put it in a very nerdy term, does not scale when it plays great competition. As we well know, the Packers have played 5 games against the top 3 teams in the NFC. That's week 1 against the Eagles, and it's the 4 divisional games against Detroit and Minnesota. They lost all 5 of those games. They allowed 30 points per game on average and got absolutely smoked in the middle of those games, right? We're talking quarters 2 and 3. The other team's offense is adjusted. they fail to. I happen to think that there is sort of two ways that the Packers have to be willing to die, if you will. They have to play light and let Saquon Barkley beat them by himself and hope that their second-level tackling is good enough to prevent him from popping a few of those big runs that we've seen him do this year. The other is to try and win one-on-one on the outside against Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but we have proof of concept from week one that says that might not be all that likely. Week one, A.J. Brown had 5 catches for 119 yards, as we well know. That's 24 a pop, a season-high 65 yards after the catch. On balance, the Packers secondary does an average time at tackling after the catch, allowing yards after the catch. But A.J. Brown is one of one. A.J. Brown lit them up in week one. And if they wind up playing with a heavy box, I think we will see A.J. Brown, especially on those slants, and give him a chance to do a lot of run after the catch. But to me, those are sort of the most important attributes of this game for when the Eagles have the ball. When Saquon Barkley gets the ball in his belly, is he going to pop a couple? My guess would be yes. And if they decide to go heavy, is A.J. Brown going to pop a couple? And again, I think he is going to yak them to death.
All right. So let's look at the passing attack. They want to force him, obviously, to beat him with his arm. What about the rust factor with Jalen Hurts coming back? This concussion protocol lingered for a really long time, and we're going to have Nick Sirianni coming on in like 7 minutes, so he'll give us what's going on with Jalen Hurts and how he looked today and all that. But how would you handle this as far as throwing the football with him rust-wise?
That's the kind of thing that I feel like former NFL players, former NFL coaches that do this in the media for a living greatly overstate. Take it from me, who has never played one down of football in his life, could not diagram a single play. But I will say this. I do believe that the Eagles' offense, more than perhaps most offenses, I wouldn't say is rust-proof, but it is not a West Coast-style timing-based offense like we see in Green Bay or San Francisco or with the Rams or with the Falcons. The Eagles don't live in that world. I mean, Jalen Hurts isn't a 3-step drop back, fire it in 2.4 seconds kind of quarterback. That's not what the Eagles do. I think the fact that they go 50-50, literally 51-49 in terms of their run-pass ratio, helps him. I think the fact that the Eagles have this, for lack of a better term, slam dunk, 3rd and 4th and 1 push play that they can go to at the well and can get the ball in from the 1-yard line and score touchdowns, literally as well as any team in the league, sort of prevents them from being subject to the same kind of issues, perhaps, as we've seen in the past. You're also talking about an Eagles team that has struggled historically, at least this season, in the first quarter, rusty or not rusty when it comes to their quarterback. So, this is the kind of thing that the Eagles have literally overcome all season, Monkey Miss. And so if the Eagles are down 10-3 after the first quarter, what we have is an entire regular season of data that say, once they get going downhill, the avalanche starts, and it's going to swallow up the Packers. I think there's a non-zero chance that Jalen Hurts probably, goes through this game, perhaps and plays a C- game from a passing standpoint. But the good thing, as you well know, about having a dominant offensive line with a quintet of barbarians that can block at the second level and move like teddy bears, right? Those guys are so good that it raises the floor of your offense so much so that it reduces the burden on your quarterback from a passing standpoint. I'm not suggesting that Jalen Hurts is not going to have to hit some big throws in order to beat a really good Packers team. I am, however, saying that when you run the ball as proficiently as the Eagles run the ball, and the numbers demonstrate this, that you're going to have a better chance moving the football and scoring points at least 3 at a time than a team that throws the ball 2/3 of the time that is largely timing-based, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. All right, so the one last question I need to ask you here. They have the advantage, an offensive line, pass catchers, running back. The defense is ranked number 1. And so the story that you read here in Philadelphia today, what can hold them back? And it always comes down to the quarterback and especially the coach. You're around a lot of ex-NFL players up there at ESPN. What is their opinion of Sirianni, and why isn't he being mentioned along with the LaFleurs and the McVays and all these other coaches that seemingly dazzle the world?
Okay, so as you well know, you've done this for a long time. If it bleeds, it leads. The problem is the Eagles have so rarely bled this season that what the national media have to do, and perhaps my show is complicit, is find things to poke holes at. We like to major in the negative. When the Eagles have been so dominant this season that you can't really poke holes at Howie Roseman's roster, you can't really poke holes at the coordinator. What you have to do is find someone to cast aside, and that person happens to be Nick Sirianni. And the reason that the national media do not like Nick Sirianni is because he doesn't have a designer haircut, because he's not super friendly with all these people, all these insiders that decide to give insiders their endless amounts of access. He doesn't play the game, and candidly, I'm here for it. Nick Sirianni does not give a bleep what the national media think about him. The reason I know that is because I'm in it, and I have people on my shows that know him well, and he actually does not care, which is my single favorite thing about Nick Sirianni. Now, do I think that he's the second coming of Paul Brown? No. I don't happen to think that he's one of the great coaches in the NFL today. I do, however, believe that anyone who wins 70% of their regular season games, which, by the way, is the highest win percentage for any active head coach, is not stumbling into success. The NFL is too hard to win in. And when you look at the markers that I care about, when it comes to like how you evaluate coaching, whether it be penalties, whether it be starting field position margin, whether it be turnovers, whether it be 34th down decisions, things of that nature, the Eagles always grade very favorably in those areas. So maybe they don't like the vibe there, right? Maybe they don't like the pencil in the ear. Maybe they don't like him taunting the fans after the Browns game or whatever we decided that was that day. Maybe we don't like the kids up at the press conference. But truthfully, I defend my coach as often as I can. That does not mean that he is beyond reproach. It does, however, mean that I would say majority of the slings and arrows that he absorbs from my brethren in the national media are largely unwarranted.
Yeah, I didn't like the kids at the press conference either. All right, Hembo, last thing. I got to get your prediction.
The Eagles are going to win this game, and I will say that the final score will be something approximating 27-16. I think they're going to cover the number. I think you'll see the Packers get in the end zone once, maybe twice. They'll move the ball, but probably have to settle for some field goals. Ultimately, I think the Eagles' offense is plenty good enough, even with a rusty Jalen Hurts, to put up between 25 and 30. You're going to see Vic Fangio's defense really shine. In fact, today on Get Up, one of our analysts, Dominique Foxworth, said that among the 6 games being played this weekend, so 12 teams, so 24 units that will be on the field this weekend, he has the Eagles' defense power ranked as the number 1 unit of all those 24.
Wow.
To me, that might be a bit of a stretch, but the Eagles ain't losing that game in front of their home fans against a Packers team that is reeling, that is banged up with an inexperienced quarterback. This is a team that in a different context would scare me, but it is not this context, Mikey Miss. Give me the Birds by something like 10 or 11 points.
I got you, and I agree with you. And so, Hembo, thank you for coming on. We have found your tribute. So on the way out, can we hear a little of the Hembo song? Here we go.
He's got stats you need to know. He's
Tingling the Ivories. Hembo! Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
You found the jingle. How on earth do you think I got those twins? That was the jingle. It was all the jingle. I'll play it for my wife later today, big boy.
We'll talk to you up the road, all right?
Thanks.
There he is, Paul Hembekides, executive producer. All right, Nick Sirianni is coming your way after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Kincade and Salciunas, weekday morning 6.
Day. Bill under the weather and Ray Dunn traveling, and we'll get hopefully both of those guys back tomorrow. I don't know about Bill. He had a 102 fever.
He was in the YouTube chat. He was at the urgent care. Hopefully he's getting
really?
some urgent care.
He went to the urgent care.
He did.
Huh?
And he checked in on the chat to say hello.
Oh, all right. Well,
hopefully
if
it means
he's
he's
checking in,
okay.
maybe he's going to be okay. All right. So Sean, how do we do this now?
We should be good to go now.
We should be good to go. All right, Nick Sirianni at the podium. Let's hear the important head coach talk about his quarterback situation.
Report after practice. We'll see how it goes, but we'll get you the injury report after practice today.
Take the decision to go outside today and go over the stadium. What kind of led to that?
Yeah, the field's frozen outside. We've tried to get outside as much as we possibly can. I mean, unless it's I really think, we play outside. So unless it's a torrential downpour or the wind's completely out of control, we're going to go outside. Can't go out there today as far as our facility because the field will be frozen. So we'll go over to the stadium.
With Jalen missing most of 3 games, are you worried at all about rust with him?
No, I think I answered this, to somebody, I can't remember who, earlier this week. This is why you practice. This is why you go through the process of practicing and all the things that you do at practice to get on the same page, to do everything there. We feel like we practice at a very high intensity level. This is why you go out there and do those things.
Has the 2 weeks also given his finger a chance to heal? Is that much better than it was?
Yeah, he's continuing to get better. Just,
In his time away, did you give him any kind of project to look forward to with the future opponents? I know he didn't know the Packers until Sunday.
He's always working on different things and getting himself ready to play the opponent and getting himself, self-scouting things. He constantly works at that.
Supposing from here you can have padded practices again. Are you back in pads, and will Wednesday's practices be different than they were in December?
It all depends on the last game. Today we'll be in pads, but it all depends. For me to say right now, hey, through the playoffs we'll always be in pads. You just don't know how each individual game goes, and so you play that by based off the circumstances, everything like that. But today we'll be in pads to play. I think that's really important. We're going to play a very physical team against the Packers. Who, I can't tell you enough how much I think how well coached they are and how good their players are. They got a lot of respect for this team. You can tell on the film how much they talk about fundamentals. You can tell on the film how much effort they give, and that's a direct reflection of their coaching staff and their players.
Are there any restrictions on Jalen today, or is he able to?
We'll give you a practice report when you get out there.
It's such a long season, 18 weeks. To be at this point, it looks like fully healthy. What does that say? What does that speak to about it?
Yeah, I think, I feel like the main thing that you want to do is make sure you're getting better throughout the year. And so you always, you push it, you push it so you're practicing, doing the details and the fundamentals in practice. But while you're also very conscious of, that it's 18-week season. And so it's a balance that a lot of people contribute to. Ultimately, I have to make the final decisions on what I think is best for the team, of how we practice and all those different things, but got to get a lot of different contributions from the strength staff, from the training staff, from the doctors. Couldn't do that without them. And then you also talk to the players, how they're feeling and always being in constant communication with them. But at the end of the day, sure, luck has something to do with it, because there are some unlucky situations that happen where you lose guys. But you can't say enough about how much the guys have put into taking care of their bodies, from the nutrition, for being at the weights that they're supposed to be at, and, to how they prehab, to how they rehab, all the different things that they do to take, you go down there and there's always guys doing stuff with the strength staff to get ready for practice and the prehab. That's why we give them a good amount of time before practice. That's why we moved you guys till after practice so they could have that ample amount of time to get themselves ready for practice. So again, you can have all the right people in place, and Mr. Laurie, so appreciative that we have all these guys in place and the organization that we have. But at the end of the day, these guys got to go out and do it, and they've really taken a lot of pride in taking care of their bodies and taking care of themselves.
Nick, the Packers are number one. Packers offense is number one in terms of explosive pass plays. You guys, your defense is number one in limiting explosive pass plays. What will it take for you guys to win that battle, and what do they do so well that gives them the opportunity to throw it?
Yeah, first and foremost, I can't tell you how much I think of Coach LaFleur and his offensive staff and his offensive mind. putting the guys in positions to succeed. I mean, I just watch him have success year in, year out. So I got a lot, and he's done it with different players. I just have a lot of respect for him and all the things that he's done in this league. And then, you see they're able to run the football, to be able to do some different things that come off of that. They got good players. Again, they have good schemes. It's good on good. It's good on good. And everything we talk about, it's going to be good on good. In the explosive play differential, I think at the end of the day, when you take offense and defense, the way we number it up, we're number 1, they're number 3 or 4 or 5, somewhere in there. And then in turnover differential, I believe we're very close there as well. And so I know we are very close there as well. I went over that with the team today. So it's good on good in the things that we really stress. Obviously, you can see when you watch their tape, they stress the same things. And again, when you're talking about giving up big plays on defense, it always starts with being on the same page. We got to work our butts off in this meeting, or in our meetings and in our walkthrough and in our practice today, to make sure we're on the same page for the different problems that they create. Tackling, so you can get it. If they do check the ball down, you get the ball carried down. That's a challenge against these guys. They have really good guys that are dangerous with the ball in their hands as far as the pass game goes. And so, again, it always comes down to that, being in the right positions, being on the same page, tackling and effort to the football.
How did you set the tone this week with your players through your messaging, Nick?
I'm sorry?
You set the tone with the players through your messaging this week?
One thing we talked about, the main thing we really talked about was as you come in here, you don't say, hey, we won 14 games, we won the NFC East, now here's what we're going to do. And sometimes you go through different things the different schedules that the NFL, challenges you with, and you have kind of notes of what you would do here, what you would do there. Really, at the end of the day, it's getting back to our toughness, detail, and together, and understanding that our process through the week is what gives you a chance to win a football game. It doesn't guarantee you a chance to win a football game. It gives you a chance to play at your best of your abilities. It gives you a chance to win, a better chance to win the football game when you go through this week like this. That's been the message all year. And again, I don't think you want any of your guys going, all right, now it's the playoffs, here's what I'm going to do now. It doesn't work that way. A winner's mindset is the same week in, week out, and that's what our message was all week, or today, and it will be the rest of the week as well.
The goal is to always have your team playing the best going into the postseason. Obviously, with the quarterback changes you had over the past weeks, the week off, are there things you've done to maybe try to make sure you keep some momentum going that you did have?
Ask me that one more time. Sorry, ask me that one more time.
The goal is to have your team playing the best football going into the postseason. With all the changes of the past week, the injuries, the week off, do you still feel like you're playing your best football at this time?
Yeah, I think we've gotten better as the year has continued on. Again, what do you attribute that to? You attribute that to the way you practice. Same reason why I'm not worried about rust, right? In that scenario, because I know how we go out and practice, and I know the emphasis we have in walkthrough and in meetings, that you can continue to get better. And so, it's the relentless effort by our scout team in practice, and the relentless effort by our team in practice, and that vision of just how you get better is on the forefront of our mind. And so, we looked at some numbers today of where we finished in some different stats, and every little report might be a little different, but we were in the top 10 in all our detail stuff. We were in the top 10 of our tackling. We were in the top 10 in takeaways. We were in the top 10 of giveaways. We were in the top 10 of drops. AJ led the NFL in least amount of drops percentage-wise, which I don't think you can get better than 0. So he had 97 targets and no drops, which is quite impressive. And then we talked today about, hey, if we did a stat on block destruction, if the NFL took a stat on block destruction, we feel like we'd be in the top 10 there, or combination blocks between offensive linemen, we feel like we'd be in the top 10 there. So what my point of that is, you just constantly try to get better at those things. And we felt like, it didn't start off, obviously we were low on the takeaway and the giveaway area early in the year, and we've gotten better at that. In tackle real well against Green Bay when we first played them, we kind of put ourselves in a hole. We've gotten better at that. And so you see that through the fundamentals. You see that through the guys being on the same page. You see that, again, you see that with how the guys interact with each other, because, connecting such a big deal here. So we feel like we've continued to get better, but we got to go out and show it.
A couple more.
Some players have had is that it's a college-like feel here. A, how do you perceive that? And B, is that an objective of yours?
I love that. I love that because, again, I think at the end of the day, it's got my start learned as I was growing up from a high school coach. And then kind of in the college world is where I started. And, we talk a ton about culture and connecting. And, and I always thought of it this way, like when you play in high school, like the guys that came to our game a couple weeks ago were my high school buddies, right? Because I knew them my entire life growing up. So you have a natural connection with them. The guys you go to college with, you're all away from home for the first time, right? And y'all are living right in the same dorms or whatever it is, hanging out with each other. There's a natural connection here. There's a lot of different things that challenge, connection in the NFL. Some guys live in Jersey. Some guys live in Philly. Some guys live in Mainline, right? Some guys live in Delco, like wherever. I don't want to leave anybody out. So and some guys have families. Some guys are single. Some guys have girlfriends. Sometimes, it's everybody's in a different stage a little bit in the NFL. So you have to work at that to create that. And I think that's what you appreciate so much of these guys is how much they've worked to connect with each other. Because I know this, at the end of the day, if you're a connected football team, that doesn't guarantee you win anything, but it guarantees that you don't want to let that person down. And Lane said it perfectly a couple weeks ago. We're so committed to being together and having a tight football team that we have a little bit more on the line that we don't want to let. He said, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know exactly how I said it. We have a little bit more on the line that we don't want to let each other down, and that's the key to it. And so, I want there to be joy when they walk in here and see their pictures on the walls and on the video screens, and want to be around and have success and root for the success of the other guys there. And so, but that doesn't happen. All those things that I just talked about doesn't happen without special people, and we have some special guys here that make that happen. Culture is your habits. Your habits are what happens by the team, and we have some special guys that can accomplish that.
Last one. You've got some young guys on defense that are going to be experiencing NFL playoffs for the first time. How would you describe how it changes the intensity, especially home game at the lane?
Exactly. Who did I answer that earlier with? Same process, same everything. Don't let everyone is going to tell you how much more, how much bigger this atmosphere is and how much bigger this is. Will there be more people on the side? I always notice that there's a little more people on the sideline. There's a couple more former players that are on the sideline in broadcasting, right? Let me see, do I know? Yeah, normally I would see there would be a couple new faces in the media here. Not today. You guys have been here all year, so I don't see anybody new. But it's really don't do anything different than what you've been doing. Like when the stakes get higher, when the game gets bigger, right? You need to lock down and do the tough detail together, right? You got to lock down and do the preparation that goes throughout the week. So you got to go and do your business to put yourself in position to succeed, and that's it. These guys too, like when you really sit down and think about it, I mean, these guys are at the pinnacle of their sport, right? So some of them have played in state championship games. Some of them have played in national championship games. Some of them played in rival games that are, bigger rivals than anybody has ever played in, right? Iowa State's a big rival for Coop, right? And so that doesn't mean, one's bigger than the other. Like you go to a high school football game, you go to Southwestern versus Falconer, and you tell and that's my team, Southwestern's my team, Falconer was our rival. You go to that school and say this game's not as important as a playoff game, and those kids are that game's important to me. All right, there's nothing bigger to me than this game right now, and so these guys have been playing in these their entire lives. I want them to stick on their process. I want to stick with what got us here and not think about anything else other than, hey, again, I don't think it's a winner's mindset to be like, here's what I'm doing different now, or here how's this game's going to be different. Screw that. It's about what we do all week. It's about us.
All right. Thank you.
Wow. That might have been the best Sirianni I've ever heard, Amy.
Didn't you just say that? I feel like you said that last week.
This is the best. Well, first of all, he went too far. The last question, there should have been a mic drop after he talked about connectivity. Because that was dazzling. With guys from different backgrounds and blah, 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 blah. And then the PR people should have come out. That's it.
That's it. We got a little bit wary with the Iowa State.
And then he went high school. Too much. You got to recognize the mic drop moment and get the hell out.
Editing yourself is always a tough skill.
But before that, before he went to Southwestern and Falcon Heights or whatever the hell it was.
We didn't need that.
It was pretty good. And Jalen Hurts, listen, they're comfortable. It seems like they're comfortable, and we'll get more of an update.
Ian Book not being there is everything you need to know. The injury report will come out later.
Let's take a break. Was that inspiring? For me, it was the best Sirianni I've ever heard. 610-632-0975. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The big question is, will Jalen Hurts play? Well, I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol, but according to Sirianni, he will participate in practice in some fashion today. In order for Hurts to clear protocol, he will have to practice, and then he will have to report no symptoms tomorrow after practice. We don't know Sirianni did not clarify how much Jalen will participate in practice today, but we will get the injury report later today, and then we will let you know as soon as we do. Former Packer John Kuhn joined the show earlier. He says Jordan Love will play today. You can listen to that on 97.5thefanatic.com. And Paul Hembekides from ESPN joined at the top of the hour, and you can listen to that at 97.5thefanatic.com as well. The Sixers are back in action tonight as the team hosts the Wizards. The Sixers have already ruled out Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Kyle Lowry for tonight's game. You can listen to the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:50. This update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. The fully electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is innovation on a magnificent scale. Available with the epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen. Visit mbusa.com/EQS. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Philadelphia 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Show. Amy Fadul with me today. All right, I'm on the hunt. I do this every now and then when I feel that something disturbs me that a Philadelphia fan does, because we have enough of a bad reputation, and I always think that when people do something like this, it makes it worse on everybody else. So I don't want to rip this kid as much as I want to have a conversation with him. If you look at this website called Spit and Chicklets, they have posted a video of, I think it's the aftermath of last night's game. The Flyers lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So there were a couple of Maple Leafs fans that were in the front row.
Yeah, Barstool, I think, is the one that originally
Barstool did it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so some Flyer fan, the kid, the Toronto guy with the Maple Leafs jersey on, he's like raising his arms in triumph. And I assume this is after the game. And so some Flyer fan climbs down several rows of seats and just punches the crap out of this guy.
Both of them.
Yeah,
He and his buddy.
both Toronto fans that are down there. Now, I get it. You know, like being taunted, your home team lost, but grow the frick up. Who is this guy? Whoever knows this guy, and if you're listening to the show, please call the show. I want to have a conversation with you. I want to know what makes you do something like this.
I don't understand the premise of I'm so irritated by a fan of the other team waving at me or signaling that they won on a game that I did not, that I'm going to climb down and punch. You care. So as a grown man, this is not some kid. I mean, he's whatever. Looks like he's in his 20s.
Yeah. You lost the game.
That you didn't play in.
Right. Why would you think that this is appropriate behavior? I mean, that's an assault that he should be arrested for. It's assault and battery.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten a name yet, to be honest.
We need a name. I want this guy to be exposed because this is the only way it's going to stop this kind of behavior that makes us all look bad. Right away, Leaf fans get welcome to the city of brotherly love.
And it's it's going to go national. It's this is what happens in Philadelphia.
Exactly. What is it that makes you so angry and so lack of control of yourself that you would do something like this because your team lost the game and some Toronto fan has his hands up in the air? Please, you got to explain this to me. I just don't understand it. I'm not trying to come off like Mr. Maturity here, but my God, you wailed this guy with two punches to the face. And you hit the other kid, too. And here's the most disturbing part. None of the people around them...
There's
watching. Right. They just sit there and watch it as if this is normal behavior. Instead of getting there and grabbing this guy and get him away from these two
There is
Toronto
a security
fans.
guy at the very end that comes in. The video cuts out. But you can see the guy come in. I guess he just escorts him. I mean, that's assault.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know this guy, I know you know him. I know there are Flyer fans out there listening. And you know this guy. You may have been with this guy last night. You saw what he did. Get him to call me. I just want to have a conversation with him. I don't want to rip him. I just want to get into his head on what makes him act like that.
Yeah. What precipitates it? How much alcohol precipitated it? But why are you so angry about a game that you did not participate in? And the guy, I don't care if the guy's yelling all kinds of stuff. As if... And judging by that guy's reaction, he has definitely been on the other side of that. He has definitely been the type of fan to yell at the opposing team when his team wins. There's no way. You don't have that kind of visceral reaction and not go the other side.
I don't know. It seems like we fight this battle all the time. We get outraged when people say Philadelphia is a bad sports town. And then something like this happens that just reaffirm everybody's false opinion of what fans are in this town. All right. In any event, let's move on because I want to play. We're going to get back to Eagles talk, obviously, in the 1 o'clock hour. But I figured since we have you here, it's time to talk a little bit Sixers. And now this segment could probably be called "Put Amy on the Spot."
Yeah, exactly. Let's see how uncomfortable we can make it.
But if you don't want to see, we both have relationships. With the Sixers, right? You TV broadcasts and you do the shows, and we're the flagship station and the whole bit. And it is sometimes uncomfortable that I have to criticize the Sixers because I love the franchise, I love the team, and I am just so frustrated with this team and how tonight the Sixers play the Washington Wizards. Now they're a 10.5-point favorite, which means the Wizards are so horrible that the Sixers are a double-digit favorite, even with no Embiid, no Paul George, no Kyle Lowry, no Andre Drummond.
Correct.
Now, it bothered me when Embiid did not play on Monday. And we keep going down this path. Oh, he's got a foot sprain. He's got the sign. And it's just so tiring to me. I'm just curious to know whether you, as someone who does the pregame and postgame, are disturbed by this, like, insufferable load management that everybody thinks is going to work out for the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's as a host of the pregame show, at least we knew about an hour and a half beforehand. That's unusual for us. Usually we obviously don't find out because he goes through warm-ups, shoot around, and then we get the word. And I could tell, so for those who don't know, shoot around was held, meaning like it was delayed before the Suns game. And Nick Nurse actually went after Mike Budenholzer, which is unusual. He goes first. So that's when we first knew that something was up, and then we got the word that Joel Embiid was out. I was like, well, they were scrambling. Like, they were not prepared for it at all, and meaning that they're always prepared for it in some way, shape, or form, just because the nature of his injury. I'm guessing he went and either warmed up or shot around, and his left foot, which has been bothering him since the Christmas game, it's been on the injury report since then. I'm assuming it flared up. No, I mean, it's getting late early. There are 34 games into the season. They're 14-20. You have to get to the 40-win mark if you'd like to have a solid chance at the postseason. And I just don't know how that's going to happen the way this schedule is backloaded. There's a lot of back-to-backs coming up. This was an opportunity against teams that are under 500 in the Suns, in the Wizards, and the Pelicans, because the end of this schedule of this month is an absolute gauntlet. An absolute gauntlet.
Here's the problem I have. There are people that actually think, that have been convinced that somebody's going to click their fingers and these guys are all going to be ready for the playoffs and the Sixers are somehow going to be viable. And I have never, ever, ever, in all my years of watching the NBA, seen where that would happen.
It could happen if they had played at any point in the season together. At any point. Joel now has missed 22 games, so you're looking at very minimal games with all three. It's a handful at this point. So in theory, yeah, what you saw at Boston could absolutely happen. But you can't see it in Boston on December 25th, and then all of a sudden think it's going to show up on April 10th. It's just not going to. It can't.
All right, here's my next.
They won't be there.
Here's my next question. Because I've said from the start of the season, like the Paul George acquisition to me was fool's gold. Because at age 34, you don't get healthier, and therefore you don't get better. And so Daryl Morey's generalship of this team, to me, has been misguided into thinking that he could bring older players here and get away with it. And we're talking also about the role players that they've assembled on this team. So, listen, we have tried to get Daryl Morey on the show to answer some questions. I think it's really weak that he has hidden all year and not come up front on taking responsibility on how he built this team. But, he's entitled to do whatever he wants. But I'd like you to grade Daryl Morey's generalship of this whole situation.
The generalship of the situation
Sixers.
of the
Sixers and how this team was built, bringing in the Paul George thing. Because
I didn't hate the Paul George thing.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. I don't hate it. I think that of the options that were out there, it's the better option and probably the best option, but certainly a better option than what else was out there as far as other moves. I do look in the fact that there are the one move that if they'd not made, they would have been even in worse shape, and that's Gershon Yabusele. That's actually like a very good move. But yeah, your point about an older bench, look at the bench against the Suns, 7 points, and it wasn't any of the older guys. Obviously, Kyle Lowry's been hurt. Eric Gordon has been very spotty. Reggie Jackson at sometimes is a DNP. So that's and when you don't have Andre Drummond out there, the bench is exceptionally lean. Their real problem on that bench is that Jared McCain got hurt. And here's a guy still, to this day, hasn't played in over a month, still the leading scorer among rookies. And like top 5 in all offensive statistical categories.
You've watched Paul George all year. We've watched him all year.
I've seen glimpses.
He's clearly not the same Paul George. Well, I get his tank. Is it 3/4 filled, half filled, a quarter filled?
That's a good question. Because there's sometimes I think that it's like more full, and the other times I feel like he was talking about after the game the other day that his knee and his groin have still bothered him. And that's when, the age does come a factor. When you're 34 years of age, and I know he doesn't have as many miles on him as maybe some other players that age, but he does have a lot. He's played a lot of games. He's coming off a season which he played some of the most games since early in his career. So when you hear that, it's like, then I'm thinking half full. But then he'll have go out and have a great game and he'll have 20-something points. And I'll think, well, now it looks 3/4 full.
All right,
I think it's the consistency for me
when
that's
we
been a
look at the
problem.
playoffs, it has to be consistent. It's going to be every other day, right? So can we count on, like, every other day he's going to be the Paul George that we previously
That's
known?
a giant question. I honestly, I can't answer that because I don't have enough evidence. The answer would say no.
I am just so exasperated by this season. More than, there have been times when they've stunk. There have been times when they've been mediocre, like the Andre Iguodala days. But this is, like, exasperating.
It's frustrating. I mean, I can't imagine the frustration level as the coaching staff not knowing who you're going to have out there day in and day out, knowing what your back. I mean, you have back-to-backs coming up. You have 4 back-to-backs just in this time frame coming up in about a little over a month. They've really, there's not enough math left yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not enough time.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question I put on Twitter several weeks ago after they played the Houston Rockets.
Is the overtime loss to the Rockets?
Would you trade the Houston Rockets right now for this 76er team? Just replace. Hey, Houston comes here, the Sixers go to Houston.
It's interesting because you're talking about Daryl Morey. No. I thought about it.
Think about it harder.
There's some players I don't really like.
That team is a rocket ship on the way up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not feeling it. All right. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. That was put Amy on the spot.
Yeah, I think that's a Rockets team. It's a better team than the Sixers. I'll give you that. I think it's a slightly above average Rockets team.
Okay.
Slightly above average.
They're a burgeoning champion waiting to happen. 610-632-0975. On the other side, we want you to hear, speaking of the NBA, Trae Young did something last night that was spectacular. And also, we're going to have one of the craziest college post-game press conferences from a coach that I've ever heard. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The big question is, will Jalen Hurts play? I'm Sean Rodman, and this update is brought to you by CSB Media Arts Center in Cherry Hill. This filmmaking and more in just a few months. Visit GoCSB.com for a tour. That's GoCSB.com. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol, but Nick Sirianni told us that he will practice in some form today. He did not clarify how much he will practice, but we do know that Hurts will practice in at least a limited fashion. There's also a good sign from Sirianni and a good sign yesterday when Ian Book was waived from the active roster. John Kuhn joined the show earlier today, and he says Jordan Love will play on Sunday for the Packers. The Sixers are back in action tonight as the team hosts the Wizards. The Sixers have already ruled out Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Kyle Lowry for tonight's game. You can listen to the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:50. This update is also brought to you by Ace Hardware's Home Services. Got a leaky pipe? Having issues with your heat? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it. They've got the pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Show has been holding court.
I was reading a story today in the Inquirer about how the Eagles have the talent advantage in almost every category. The question is, how could they lose?
Yeah, why are we even playing the game?
Right, exactly. How could they lose? Why are the Eagles, when I look at the betting lines,
Yeah, this is crazy.
the Eagles are ranked 5th in the betting lines based on the Super Bowl odds. But the number one team, the Detroit Lions, are plus 320 ahead of, and the Eagles at plus 650. When you look at that, it doesn't look like they have a chance to win
Yeah,
a Super
it looks
Bowl.
like they're not even remotely in the conversation, which is weird.
Well, how do you feel about it?
Mike and Bill have been pleading their cases.
I don't know where they get their metrics from. I'm always interested when I see things like that. Like, what are they taking into account? Because you mentioned it. They have a top defense. They have a top offense.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Here's what they're taking into account. As this story I read today, they don't trust the quarterback. At this point, they don't trust the quarterback, nor do they trust the coach.
Yeah.
Because they were looking at all these metrics on who's got the advantage in quarterback and coach, and Nick Sirianni is still not held in high favor as far as going all the way with this team.
Now back to Mike Missanelli on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, the 12 o'clock hour of the Mike Missanelli Show is brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning, where you can get 0% for 72 months, $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at ServiceFirstHVAC.com. All right, we'll be talking more about the Eagles in this matchup against the Packers. It's midweek, and the big news is it looks like Jalen Hurts is fine, and we'll see if he has any rust. But since we just got done talking about basketball, last night, one of those golden moments happened, especially if you're an announcer, right? So it's the Utah Jazz hosting the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young, with 8 seconds, puts them ahead 121-118. The Jazz call a timeout, and they set up a play, and Colin Sexton ties the game. Let's just go to the broadcast here on how this all transpired.
Collier. It's deflected by Daniels. Sexton for the tie. Oh! Hawks don't have a timeout. Trae from midcourt to win it. Yes! He hit it! Trae Young hits a three, the buzzer!
Trae Young!
Atlanta wins the game!
Whoa, Trae Young!
Can you believe that?
So they inbounded that ball with like 2.4 seconds left. He gets it, races up the half court, and shoots a jump shot. He's got that kind of range.
Yeah, he does.
Buries it. A 50-point three-pointer to win the game.
It was an incredible finish.
It really was.
I love when the announcers get that into it, though. There's actually an underrated, like the Hornets announcers, God bless them. They don't have a lot of joy down there. They are incredible. They're always into it, too. But those Atlanta guys, they really... That's what you want. That's why they're the hometown announcers, right?
That is pretty.
You need them to go bananas.
That's pretty amazing stuff. All right, you are listening to WPEN and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. All right, let's get back to the analysis here with your Eagles and your Green Bay Packers. And we tried to extrapolate the playoffs here and where this is going to lead to. Now, the only thing that Eagle fans care about is whether they can get to the Super Bowl. Now, whether they can win it is another matter. I never look at it like if they lose the Super Bowl, it's that devastating.
Because at least you're there.
We don't know how good the other team. Like, we really don't know if the Eagles would be the better team in that matchup once we get to it. But we sure know that the Eagles are good and they may be the best NFC team. And we know that they should play the Lions for the NFC Championship. So how do they get there? And if they fall short of that, what are the ramifications of it? To me, it would be total devastation. Like, if you're projected to be just right behind the Lions, you should be able to go to Detroit and beat the Lions. They're not like that overwhelmingly better than you. They're a tad better, I think, but they're also still banged up.
Yeah, and their defense is really banged up.
Yeah, and you got to put that in the equation. So if we look at it, you've got different ways of getting there than I do.
Yes.
I
went Tampa Bay reluctantly and the
Tampa Bay and Minnesota.
And the Minnesota Vikings.
All right. So I went Rams and Commanders.
Right. Which means the Commanders would play the Eagles And no, I'm sorry, Commanders would play the Lions, and the
Rams would
play.
come here.
Yes, correct.
So either the Bucks come here or the Rams come here. How do you feel about both of those?
I feel good about both of those.
I do too.
And that's the thing, like we were talking about earlier, there's nothing that's come up that you're like, ooh, I don't know, until you get to the NFC title game, if that's against the Lions, because they are a very good team and they're rolling right now, but it's not an overwhelming, I feel like, the Eagles wouldn't stand a chance type of vibe. I think that would be a good matchup. But no, the Buccaneers, I think that's a very even matchup. To me, that's a pick 'em. What'd you say the line was 3.5? At home, it might as well be a pick 'em.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's basically what you get for being at home. You get 2.5
here's
points.
the thing. I don't trust warm weather teams to come to cold weather and win and play. Listen, people go, what happened in 2002, Mike? I get it. I understand. Well, as a regular course of study, I just don't trust a warm weather team to come into somebody's building in cold weather and win when that team is better.
Yeah, it's such a playoffs are so tight. Everything has to be so precise. And when you take other factors like weather and being uncomfortable in that, it really can mess with a team. I think that there's something to that, to be honest.
Yes. And not only that, but today I was totally inspired by the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he won me over today, Amy. He had me in the palm of his hand with his messaging in this press conference today. I don't often say that, and I do think he went a little too far at the end when he brought his high school rivalry into the picture. But before that, he started talking about the connectivity of the Philadelphia Eagles. And some guys are from here, some guys are from there, some guys are from Delco, some guys are from the main line, some people are from South Jersey.
Let's go.
But they all come together as one, and he's admired this commitment. Now, if they're together like that, then the head coach has to take a lot of credit for that. So let's hear the wisdom of Nick Sirianni today in a press conference that dazzled me.
Connection in the NFL. Some guys live in Jersey. Some guys live in Philly. Some guys live in Mainline, right? Some guys live in Delco, like wherever. I don't want to leave anybody out. So and some guys have families. Some guys are single. Some guys have girlfriends. Sometimes, it's everybody's in a different stage a little bit in the NFL. So you have to work at that to create that. And I think that's what you appreciate so much of these guys is how much they've worked to connect with each other. Because I know this, at the end of the day, if you're a connected football team, that doesn't guarantee you win anything, but it guarantees that you don't want to let that person down. I want there to be joy when they walk in here and see their pictures on the walls and on the video screens, and want to be around and have success and root for the success of the other guys there. And so, but that doesn't happen. All those things that I just talked about doesn't happen without special people. And we have some special guys here that make that happen. Culture is your habits. Your habits are what happens by the team, and we have some special guys that can accomplish that.
Listen to that.
That's an excellent answer. That's as good as answer as we've gotten from him in a while.
It's the best Sirianni I've ever heard was today. That buoys me coming into this game.
You're going to run through a wall right now, aren't you?
Yes, I'm ready to run through a wall. If I could extract the final answer out of my head, I would ready run through a wall.
It's honestly though, that's like him talking about the connectivity is exactly what the big question was about him being the CEO type of coach in the offseason, right? Is it going to work? Well, then, yeah, it has worked. He's connected everybody. Everybody has a joyful locker room. He wants joy.
I feel like such a dumbo because earlier in the season, before the Eagles brought him into a room and said, grow up, like I called him a goof. Early in the season, I called him a goof, and now look at me. I'm inspired by his words.
Inspired by him. Listen, just like Rocky told us, if he can change, you can change. Okay?
All right, let's get to the text board. There's lots of texts with Sirianni if they lose. Now, again, this is not a realistic type of thing. We're just saying that the reaction immediately if they lost this game would be, what do you mean? Get rid of him. And then you would probably, settle in and your better senses would come to you. But let's go to the text board. Sean Rodman has the text board today. What do you got, Sean?
Yeah, this person is Neil in Newcastle. A little bit more on the, in between, I would say. If the Eagles lose to anyone other than the Lions, I think it would be a huge disappointment. Whether Sirianni goes or not depends on the fashion of which they lose. In other words, would we be able to lay clear blame at his feet, or were there other factors?
How could you? Now, here's the thing. That gets dicey because how could you lay the blame if they fail offensively?
Yeah, who is it?
Kellen Moore has to be part of it, right?
Absolutely.
Because Nick is the CEO now. He's not calling the plays. Now, if the defense fails, it would go, well, that's an aberration because that guy's a great defensive coordinator, right? So
maybe be like decision making if there was like one of those, like a decision like in the Jags game.
Yeah.
Or the Browns.
Yeah, and he decides to go for
something
it.
Like that. I mean, I don't know. I get what the texter's trying to say, but that's, like you said, it's a real fine line. That's a nitpicky.
He would have to really be make an incompetent move, I think.
That would cost him something really big.
Cost them the game,
Yeah.
actually.
That was.
All right, here's how you get in. 610-622-0975. We have Stymie on deck. We had Cosmo, who dropped off, who actually brought something up.
Yes, I'm glad you saw that.
The kicker. Should we worry about the kicker? You got to worry about the kicker in the playoffs. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Back after this.
Ricky Vitalico.
This offensive line.
Go ahead, Sean. 106-320-975. All right, ranking the NFL playoff teams based on Super Bowl odds. Where are the Eagles? Lions plus 320. Favorite to win the Super Bowl? Huh?
I mean, I think it says a lot about the NFC. The top two favorites are. Well, no, are the Chiefs right behind them?
Chiefs plus 370, right behind them.
You could never count out the Chiefs.
I'm surprised that the Lions are ahead of the Chiefs.
I think that last game against the Vikings put them over the top.
Yeah, proved a lot. All right, the Ravens plus 550.
Don't like that one.
Way off the pace. Bills at
the
plus
fact that the Bills.
600.
I mean, listen, I know the Bills have some of their warts, but I think the Bills being below the Ravens is strange to me.
I agree. Eagles then at plus 650. And then there's a significant drop-off with the Vikings, Bucks, Packers, Chargers, and Rams. In case you're interested in the lines currently, the Texans and Chargers. So it started off, Texans were a 2.5-point home dog, and now they are a 3-point home dog. So a lot of people liking the Chargers right now. You like that?
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
The Ravens. Oh, my.
Oh, God. I can't.
Minus 10.
I mean, listen, everybody saw the way that Steelers team couldn't move the ball at all. Russell Wilson, George Pickens had, I think, 6 drops in that game, it felt like. So
if they get buried by the Ravens, is that the end for Tomlin?
No.
No?
You're already in.
All right.
That management has shown, that front office and the ownership has shown they don't. I mean, they've had like 4 coaches since Chuck Noll. Like, come on.
Broncos, Bills right now. This just looks too easy. I think the Bills.
What's that? I think the Bills roll.
Them. Yeah, minus 9.
See, I'm surprised that's not double digits.
It's going up. It went 7.5 to 9. It may go up even further. And the Packers, Eagles staying steady at 4.5 after starting at 3.5. And then the Commanders, Buccaneers minus 3. The Bucks at home. Rams plus 1 at home.
That's like a pick'em right there. That's a pick'em. That's a tough one.
What's going to prevent me from betting $1 million on the Rams?
$1 million.
$1 million, money line, straight up winner.
No, thank you.
No?
No, thank you. I mean, I think the Rams will win, but
I think I might do it. Let's go to the phones. Stymie in Lehigh Valley. What's up, Stymie?
Hey, Mike, thanks for taking my call. I'm a Buccaneers fan. And I remember that 2002 playoff game like it was yesterday. But the Buccaneers had a much better defense than they do now. That defense in 2002 had, I believe, 4 Hall of Famers on it. Scott Brooks, Lynch, and Rondé Barber. This Buccaneers defense we have is not going to be able to handle the Eagles' offense in this cold weather.
Well, you got the Buccaneers surviving the first round?
Yeah, I do. I think we beat the Redskins, and I think...
They're the Commanders now, though, bro.
I'm sorry. The Commanders.
Yeah.
I think we beat them. I don't think a rookie quarterback's just going to come in to Tampa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you might be right. Baker Mayfield's a hot quarterback right now.
You know what I mean? That's kind of big for a rookie in a playoff game to come in there. I think Baker Mayfield can get the first one. I don't know about anything after that.
I got you.
But I think the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. And if Tampa Bay doesn't win, if they can't get to the Super Bowl, I'll definitely be rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. I got you, brother.
Have a great day.
You too. Stymie. It is not all call from the past.
I like it.
We didn't talk about the Jake Elliott thing, so let me do a hypothetical. Somehow the Packers find themselves in the lead, 20-17. The Eagles have a drive. They get to the 35. They stall.
I already see where you're going with this.
It's a 52-yard field goal to tie the game. How you feeling about that moment?
Uneasy. I feel uneasy.
You feel uneasy about that moment?
It's so unusual. Automatic Elliott was his nickname for Pete's sake.
Oh, he did hit one from 50. So can we say 50. In cold weather, 52, he ties the game.
It's like a rock.
They win in overtime, or he needs a field goal to win the game. The score's tied.
Yeah, I like his chances above, medium. Like I think I feel good-ish about it because he has shown that he can be that guy. The postseason's that's not going to affect him. It's not going to matter the game's on the line. It's the fact that I just don't know that he has the accuracy or the he's had issues on it.
He doesn't have confidence.
He's had issues on it.
Yeah, his it's like a golf swing,
which is weird because he's a great golfer.
Yeah, and he's yanking it. So you had the yanks. You got to adjust. He has been yanking. Everything that he misses, or it seems like everything he misses, is yanked to the left. So I am a little worried about that. But here's the thing that comforts me. I don't think the Eagles will be in that situation.
I don't think this is the week that you do worry about it, down the road maybe.
Yeah, in Detroit, you worry about it maybe.
Loud. It's dome.
Yeah, it's indoors. It's controlled conditions. But you're going to probably need a big kick in that game.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
All right, we'd have a text on Mr. Elliott. What we got, Sean?
Do. Andrew from North Carolina says, Jake Elliott scares me. He has one 50-yarder this year when he is normally lights out. If a game comes down to a field goal, I'd rather see Howie Roseman kick the ball than Jake Elliott.
Yeah, I don't think you want that.
I mean, I'm all for hyperbole, but you could have picked another player, another member of the Eagles probably before going with the general manager.
I don't think you want that. There's the other thing. Punting hasn't been that special either.
No. Well, and the kickoffs also, that was the big thing a couple weeks ago. Who's going to be doing the kickoffs? Is it going to be Mann? Is it going to be Elliott? It's special teams. You never want to talk about special teams because it's usually something bad.
It's interesting how teams try to handle kicks now. A lot of them are now getting the kick to the goal line like that.
Yeah.
That special talent to not kick it through the end zone. I'm wondering if that, to take that factor out. Green Bay needs factors, right? They would need a big return or something like that. So would it be worth it to just kick it through? But can you kick it through?
That's the big question. And you mentioned it because with the new rules changes this year, a lot of the kickers then tried to perfect it to kick it right there at the goal line rather than through the back of the end zone. I think you just kick it through the back of the end zone and call it a day.
If you think Braden Mann's going to do that?
I think Jake Elliott's going to do it.
You think Jake's going to come back and start kicking?
Let's do it.
He's going to kick off?
I mean, if it's going to be the bigger factor, maybe you let Mann do it once. But I mean, the thing is, it's just a factor that you don't want to have to account for, right? You just don't want to have anything that's going to question. So if you think that there's a chance that they're going to have a good return, why would you even put them in that position?
Here's my fear if they have Elliott out.
I think he can kick it out of the back of the end zone.
Suppose he kicks one short. He doesn't get his leg through it. And then he has to actually be on the field of play when they return.
No, that's not ideal.
So I would actually not have him kick off.
So I think Mann can get there. Okay, kick it through the back of the end zone.
All right, let's take a break. 610-632-0975. On the other side, I'm going to play a post-game press conference from UCLA head coach Mick Cronin, who just ripped into his players. You never see a college coach do this. It's the Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The big question is, will Jalen Hurts play? I'm Sean Rodman, and this is your Fanatic Sports Update. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol, but Nick Sirianni did tell us earlier that Jalen Hurts will practice in some fashion today. We'll find out later today once the practice report comes out how much Hurts did practice. John Kuhn, the former Packer, joined the show earlier, and he believes Jordan Love will play Sunday, so no issues there for the Packers quarterback. Paul Hembakidis, Hembo from ESPN, joined us at 11:55 earlier today, too. You can listen to both those at 975thefanatic.com. The Sixers are back in action tonight as the team hosts the Wizards. The Sixers have already ruled out Embiid, George, and Lowry for tonight's game. You can listen to the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:50. This update is brought to you by Mattress Firm. Score deep discounts and deeper sleep during Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Get up to 60% off select mattresses and more. Plus, get a free adjustable base on qualifying purchases. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic, and 975thefanatic.com.
Mike Missanelli Show. Amy Fadul in for Bill Colorula today. He's got a text from Bill. So Bill, who went to urgent care, said that all the tests came out where he negative for everything.
Negative for flu and all that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Actually feel a little better today outside of my losing my voice. Well, that's not good.
Well, it's a little important in sports talk radio.
Bill may show up tomorrow and not say a word. We'll update you on that. Amy doing a fine job. Fun, Amy. It's fun hanging out with you.
It's been great.
All right, so let's we'll get back. I want to go over these teams that the Athletic has ranked as power rankings as we go into the playoffs. But this moment, I heard this morning, and I've never heard anything like it. Like I've heard college coaches be angry, but I've never heard a college coach rip into his team like this. And it's Mick Cronin. Now, somewhere along the line, he refers that he has 500 wins.
Close to. Yeah, I looked it up.
He
actually
does?
I looked it up because I was like, no. He was a lot of success at Cincinnati. And then he was at Murray State before that.
Oh, okay, so the Murray State. All right. Yeah, that
For
counts.
3 years.
I didn't realize that he was that successful of a coach. But he's the coach of UCLA, and he's considered a good coach. And UCLA was number one, right? Weren't they number one? Would they rank one? Before they lost, who did they lose to here?
Tennessee was ranked 1.
Oh, but Tennessee lost also.
They got
smoked, and UCLA wound up losing this game to somebody yesterday that they shouldn't have lost to.
Yesterday they lost to Michigan.
That's right, Michigan.
Michigan's
Hammered
ranked
them,
24th.
UCLA is ranked 22.
Oh, they are? Okay. Well,
They were 11 and 3.
All right, I'm mistaken then. So Michigan beats UCLA, and so this is Mick Cronin after the game.
We're soft. We're too soft to play hard enough. Even in the crucials, you can't get an offensive rebound. You know, it's like a 5-point game, and Kobe Johnson just has a guy take the ball from him. Same thing with Sebastian Mack. Okay, we finally do get a stop. Can't get a defensive rebound. They didn't have a million of them because they didn't miss that many shots. But there was a few in particular, huge, back-breaking. And you got inside position. So don't tell me you want to win. Like, just don't tell me you want to win. You won't start the game. Tyler Bilodeau gave up 12 points. 2 screens, he didn't say a word, 3s, and then he got dunked on 3 times. So don't tell me you want to win. We're soft.
Yeah,
Aside from, to be fair to you, obviously they have a unique skill set, the way they shoot the ball, but we're soft.
You obviously came back and took the lead. Do you feel like ran out of energy?
I have to run on the court to get guys to play hard. It's crazy, and it's every day. I'm tired of it. It's every day. I have the most energy of anybody at practice every day. I'm upset with everybody in that locker room, my assistant coaches and my players. I mean, I don't need to do anything else. I almost got 500 wins. I'm only 53. You think I'm coaching the Lakers? I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke.
I did not believe it.
It reminds me of one person who had an exact same commentary last year.
Who was that?
He was at St. John's. It was even. I think
Patino?
he was. What? I can't remember I'll have to look it up. He called his players soft.
Oh yeah,
he called his
right.
players
He
unathletic.
Yeah.
But he said he wasn't fired up.
He did that.
I think they coached together at Louisville.
They did. So he dimed out 3 players: Kobe Johnson, Sebastian Mack, and Tyler Booth. Right?
Just like,
he dimed out as assistant coaches as his players. Listen, if your team's not playing hard, do you have to take a little responsibility for that?
How about it when he said that I have to run? I have the most energy.
Yeah, dude. And I'm a 500 player. 500 wins. Nothing is my fault. Like, you know what he just did? Those guys.
I mean,
in this climate,
it wouldn't fire me up. I can tell you that much.
In this climate, those guys are going to quit on him and go, get some NIL somewhere else.
Exactly. I'm making $200,000 this year, guy.
Man, that is unbelievable.
Listen, for some players, it might fire them up. I don't know. It's a different world out there nowadays.
Oh, these players don't need that, dude. I mean, the climate is such that, you want me here? I'll get my money somewhere else. I was a highly ranked player. Somebody will take me in a heartbeat. You're going to bail out on me? You're going to dime me out in public? It's inexcusable.
That's what made me think of it, because I feel like Patino also called names out last year.
Yeah, he did. Soriano, he called out. I remember that big center they had.
You just don't hear guys doing
No,
that.
you really don't. All right.
But he's 53 and he has almost 500 wins. So that's what it means he could. I think I looked it up. I don't have it right in front of me. I think it's a 491. So he is close.
What a smarmy little creep. Jesus. All right. Here are the rankings according to the Athletic, the power rankings, right? Now, some people disrespect the Bills. Some people like the Bills. But the way it stands right now, the Lions, again, are ranked as the top team. I guess I got to give it up. I didn't think that they would have the Lions ahead of the Bills or the Chiefs. So they have second, the Buffalo Bills, third, the Kansas City Chiefs, which is like I have the Bills a tad above the Chiefs also.
Yeah.
And I probably would have the Bills ahead of the Lions, even though they're 13-4, or the Chiefs 15-2. The Lions being consistently number one in the league? I could see ranking them in the NFC, but
I think there was only 1 week where they weren't one, and they were probably two.
All right. The Eagles are fourth.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good spot.
That's a pretty good spot for them.
Pretty good spot. They're on a collision course to play the Lions. Look, we've been talking about this for a really long time. I can't see anybody else that's going to be in the NFC title game. And so when we go through this exercise, them having to beat the Packers this weekend, which I think they will, or the Rams and the Bucs in the second round, or however it shakes out, we're on a collision course to have to win a game in Detroit. Right now, I would make the Lions a 2.5-point favorite.
Very, very. I mean, that's a home. That's just basically because they're at home.
A little less than a home. Yeah, it would be that close.
I think, which is basically almost a
Would that be fair?
I would be fair. I was going to say 3, but so I think that's 2.5. They would never do an even. They always have to put that half
Exactly. You need to stick a hook in there.
I think 2.5 would be. Listen, I'd take it. I'd take that.
The Eagles?
I would.
To win that game by 2.5.
I would.
I'm not quite there yet.
You're not there yet?
No, I'm not quite there yet. If the Eagles really look impressive in these first 2 games at home,
maybe
that would sway me. But right now, like everybody else is evaluating, I think the Lions are just a tad better, and to beat them on their home turf, where Goff is really good, I think it would be a tough game for them to win, especially now with the kicking game. We don't know if it's solid or not. But I heard Sirianni today, and I'm going, man, play for that dude. Can we hear that again, Sean?
Connection in the NFL. Some guys live in Jersey. Some guys live in Philly. Some guys live in Mainline, right? Some guys live in Delco, wherever. I don't want to leave anybody out. So and some guys have families. Some guys are single. Some guys have girlfriends. Sometimes, it's everybody's in a different stage a little bit in the NFL. So you have to work at that to create that. And I think that's what you appreciate so much of these guys is how much they've worked to connect with each other. Because I know this, at the end of the day, if you're a connected football team, that doesn't guarantee you win anything, but it guarantees that you don't want to let that person down. I want there to be joy when they walk in here and see their pictures on the walls and on the video screens, and want to be around and have success and root for the success of the other guys there. And so, but that doesn't happen. All those things that I just talked about doesn't happen without special people. And we have some special guys here that make that happen. Culture is your habits. Your habits are what happens by the team, and we have some special guys that can accomplish that.
How about my man rolling out that kind of wisdom, Amy?
Good
Connection,
stuff.
not wanting to let anyone else down.
We've seen that, though. You've seen that in the locker room after these games. You've seen that with the Saquon Barkley situation and how everybody was rallying around, and they've got the T-shirts, and you've seen it with even Jordan Mailata talking about Tanner McKee. It's a good locker room. It's a good locker room, and that you have to put back on Nick Sirianni.
Listen, I guess
you want to.
Bill says this all the time that those guys like playing for him, like they want to play for him. In my experience, pro players don't play for coaches, but maybe there's something he's doing that's uniting them as a team. Maybe they do connect with him. I don't know. I guess they do. I'm defeated.
Yeah, you might not win this one now.
I'm not going to win it. But he convinced me today. I'm telling you, it was the best Sirianni I've ever heard. Let's take a break. If you want to climb in as we come down the home stretch, 610-632-0975. We'll go back to the text board. The Mike Missanelli Show continues.
It's time for Birds Playoff Conversation.
140, Mike Missanelli Show, 97.5, The Fanatic. Sixers tonight against the Wizards, and you'll be in action.
That's right, 6:30 pregame.
So
show.
how do you preview? What would the pregame show be in this game?
This one.
What's your angle?
I mean, when I say it's a must-win, I'm going to just hammer that point home. It's absolutely a must-win. You look at the Eastern Conference standings; you're still in it, but like you cannot lose to this team.
Is Jordan Poole not playing tonight?
I don't think he is.
He's hurt.
I think so.
So all you got is Kuzma. And who else do they have?
You have a bunch of guys. This should be this is almost like a showcase game. Like, who do the Wizards have that anybody might be interested in?
How do you get to I don't understand how franchises in the NBA can
They
get
lost
so
like
bad.
16 or 17 straight at one point.
It's almost impossible to be this bad, isn't it?
And yet the Wizards are notorious. Think about some of the worst contracts in NBA history.
Yeah.
Just think about those. The Wizards are going to be authors of a couple of those.
Yeah.
Like, there's no such thing anymore, really, as the no trade clause. There's one right now in the NBA, and it's Bradley Beal's.
Yeah.
And his contract originated in Washington. Gilbert Arenas back in the day.
I don't know what's going on with that situation. It's Phoenix.
Oh, the best is they asked him about, like, hey, do you think you're got benched because they're trying to move you so you can leave and you can waive your no trade? He goes, well, someone needs to tell me that. I'm like, I think they're telling you that. I think they're telling you now.
All right. So anyway, that's on 97.5 tonight on radio, and of course NBC Sports Philadelphia. You can get your Sixers situation. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find this Flyer fan who punched out a Toronto Maple Leaf fan today. I don't know. Listen, if you know who this person is, I would love for you to put him in touch with us. And I just want to talk to the kid. I mean, not that I'm some kind of a counselor, but I just want to, what makes somebody act like that? Because all that does, first of all, it puts you in big trouble. Second of all, it makes us look terrible as a sports city.
It just, it permeates that whole we're a bad fan base type of vibe.
Yeah.
We're not. We're a good fan base.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go online. It's viral at this point, where a couple Toronto Maple Leaf fans were exalting their victory over the Flyers last night, and this guy climbed down some stairs and punched him out. All right, let's go back to the text board. One text on running through a wall, like I'm ready to do for Nick Sirianni.
Uncle
Sean,
Frank,
what do you got?
Uncle Frank's
Uncle
with
Frank
you.
checking in?
Oh.
Yes, he says that speech by Coach Knight Rocky Sirianni has me feeling like I can run through a wall.
Newt Rockney, Sean. Newt, not Knight Rockney.
Newt Rockney. I didn't know if it was misspelled.
Sean.
I'm a little young.
The kids.
Sean.
Knight Rockney.
I wasn't alive when Newt Rockney was around. Sean.
Knight Rockney. That was his cousin, I think.
Yeah, well, I was assuming he was trying to put in Coach Knight and then Rocky together.
Knute. It was Newt Rockney.
Newt Rockney. Have you ever heard of Vince Lombardi?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I love it.
I love you. We love you, Sean.
Finish the
Finish strong.
the text. I'm sorry.
Finish strong.
He says, I feel like I can run through a wall for him. So he's with you, Mike.
So Newt Rockney. We're going to take that ball.
Have you seen the movie Rudy?
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
There's a old black and white movie called Newt Rockney something. And they have, I think he plays the part. And he does
Newt
this.
plays himself?
I think he plays himself, and he does it. Come on, man! And we gotta run. We gotta take this ball, and we gotta take it down the field, and we got this. I think it's actually him.
Rudy does that though in the movie.
Yes.
Rudy does that speech in the movie.
Don't get me started now with Rudy and Notre Dame, because tomorrow.
Oh, I know. I cannot believe I brought it. I'm so sorry. I made it to 144. I'm so sorry.
You're not sorry. You can bring it up. What are you? Do you have some kind of Notre Dame connection?
No, I got nothing. This is like the Delco versus Northeast versus South Philly. This is the Philadelphia. If there ever were a Philadelphia bowl game, this is it.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
I am realistic.
I'm excited.
I think that Notre Dame.
Be a great
I
game.
think Notre Dame wins.
Do
the game.
you?
Yeah, I do.
Is their running backs back?
I don't know if they have both of them back. Here's my problem. I think that Notre Dame's defense is really good and really fast. Penn State's is also. But you've got to be able, Penn State does not have game-impacting wide receivers.
But they do have a game-impacting offensive player.
In the quarterback?
You don't think so?
Well, he is, but like against a really good defense, is he going to be able to get the ball down the field with big plays, which I think they'll need. Now, I don't have any problem. They've got 4 of the better skill players. The quarterback's better. The running backs, I believe, as a tandem are better than what Notre Dame has.
Right.
The tight end is an all-world player.
That's what I mean.
But here's the thing. If you're the defensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator is Al Golden, the former Penn State tight end and former Temple head coach, what do? I take Warren. I try to take him completely out of the game and dare them to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah,
in which
Tyler
case,
Warren
I think they can get turnovers. So Notre Dame being a favorite in the game, slight
favorite, right?
Makes me a little nervous. And that would be a shame. If they lost to Notre Dame, could you imagine the hell I'd have to pay with these Notre Dame fans?
It's going to be bad. But if Penn State wins, you're going to have a whole lot of people on your side. There's a lot of Penn State love out there. I see it all the time. You see it too. But you will be the bearer of it all.
Do I believe that Penn State can win a national championship? No, I don't believe
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So, but if they lose to Notre Dame, Franklin can't win a big game.
He already won a big game.
Yeah, he won one.
All right.
But that doesn't.
Listen, the man was at Vanderbilt, okay? The fact that he survived that, Vanderbilt, you just don't understand. You don't win football games at Vanderbilt.
I get it. But I also know his record against really good teams is terrible.
It's not good.
So if they lose to Notre Dame, all it does is reestablish that whole thing. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Penn State. It's really funny. Like, both of these teams are hated in a lot of ways. They are beloved by the people that love them.
That's a very good
but
point.
they are hated by the non-Irish people or the non-Penn State connected people. So you're talking about what's the larger fan base? Irish people or Penn State people?
I mean, you and I both know, you must know tons of Notre Dame fans just because that's what their family always has done.
And they all have, it's a cliche, but they mostly all have the Fighting Irish leprechaun on their calf.
Oh, yeah. Where's B
The
Gun?
tat.
Where's B Gun when we need
The
him?
tat on the calf. So, I don't know. Yeah, so there's this weasel out here who is a Notre Dame fan.
Oh.
Here's my problem with Notre Dame
Brendan.
fans. You're a la carte. And I hate a la carte fans. Like, to me,
Because you're just a Notre Dame football fan?
you're tied in the heart with Kentucky.
Everything.
It's your heart.
Yeah.
Right?
I live and die with all of them.
Right. Because it's your heart. It's where you spent a lot of your formative years
Yes.
to grow as a person.
Oh, yeah.
That's what college does to you.
Correct.
But these a la carte fans bug me because they have no connection to the school, and somehow it represents their culture. That's the thing I don't understand.
It goes back to the Newt Rockney days. You have to look that one up there, Sean.
And
Already did.
Rudy literally makes me sick to my stomach when it's on TV.
No, listen, we're going to have sports movies rated. Rudy's in the conversation.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
Oh, my God,
If you
Amy,
don't
you're
get
killing
choked
me.
up when he starts the acceptance letter, there's no way.
It's all fake.
He was a real person.
That didn't happen.
He was a real person.
But all this stuff is embellished.
I mean, it's movies. Of course it is. But he did get into
Oh,
Notre
it's
Dame.
horrible.
He does have a stat
It's
line in the Georgia Tech
horrible.
game. It does exist.
It's a horrible movie.
That's unbelievable.
Tears come to your eyes?
No, but I get a little emotional. I want him to win.
I gotta
Listen.
admit, tears come to my eyes at the end of The Natural.
Oh, well, now that's...
But Rudy makes me laugh.
Yeah, I mean, The Natural, when the sparks go, come on.
The music.
It's just, the bat's picking up. Like, come on.
But
Lightning Boy.
I would have Rudy at, if I'm rating sports movies, 74. I would have it that low.
That's
low.
low.
Give me your top 5 sports movies.
Let's see. Remember the Titans in no particular order. I love Remember the Titans.
Remember Titans top 5.
I love. Gosh, I mean, sometimes you wonder what it constitutes. Does Caddyshack constitute a sports movie? See, that's like a comedy that happens to have sports in it.
Yeah, that's not.
No, I don't know. Hoosiers is in there for me. I love Hoosiers.
I'll take Hoosiers.
The Natural.
The Natural's my number 1. Hoosiers would be in there.
Major League.
You like Major League, huh?
Yeah,
I wouldn't have that in my top 5. It's too silly.
See, you need that's what I mean.
But Bull Durham would be in my top 5 because it's not silly.
Because it's not silly. So
it's a little more realistic.
It is a little bit more realistic.
How about Moneyball?
I don't know. I like Moneyball. I liked the book better than I saw the
Really?
movie. Yeah,
Yeah, I like the movie a lot. I think it's a top 5. How about Miracle?
great movie. But I put Remember Titans above Miracle.
I would agree with you. Remember Titans is
As a great movie, great story.
solid. Yes, it is. All right, we have some more text. Go Irish.
Oh, BP.
I got to hear Go Irish. I read it on my screen here. Sirianni, if they lose, we only got one of those. So, Sean, what do you got?
For if they lose, nope, that would be if they win. If they lose, shouldn't it be on the blame of Sirianni because of the offense potentially not playing well?
Well, again, that's
Yeah.
going to be a topic of discussion because Kellen Moore might have to share a little of that heat. So maybe it wouldn't be on Sirianni. But listen, Amy and I both know if they lose that first round game, there's going to be a lot of heat on Sirianni in this town. So we'll have to wait for that. All right, it is time for closing arguments, Sean.
Now, closing arguments on the Mike Missanelli Show. Brought to you by Lowenthal and Abrams Injury Attorneys. Injured in an accident, call 800-876-LAWYER or visit LowenthalAbrams.com.
All righty, listen, simple equation. Jalen Hurts looks like he's going to be back. They'll make that official tomorrow when he rebounds from the practice he had today. If he's back, the Eagles cannot lose this game to the Packers. For a moment yesterday, I thought if they had to play the backup, maybe they would get upset at home, but they're not going to get upset at home. And we even had a guy from Green Bay, a guy who played for the Packers, say that this is going to be a 2-score win for the Eagles. And why wouldn't it be? They have the talent advantage in most every category. Offensive line, although Green Bay is pretty good. Pass catchers, running back, a defense that's ranked number 1. They allow the fewest points, the fewest yards per play, the fewest yards an attempt per play. On first downs, they limit teams, and they've only allowed opponents to score 31.6% of their drives. That's tied for first in the league. How in the world could the Eagles now, with a little rest, come out and lay an egg on their home field? They can't do it. So it's Wednesday. We're proclaiming the Eagles with an easy victory. I know that makes people nervous, but I know, Amy, you see the same thing.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned it. Every single statistical category. I think also the way that they've been aggressive and the way that they've operated their offense when they needed to. If they needed to be more aggressive against the team, then they've done that. If they needed to be a little bit safer, then they've done that. I think the game plan is solid. They've been working on it for 2 weeks. I don't think there was any question. They started working on the Packers game plan even before they knew it was the Packers for sure. I feel like they're going to be aggressive, and I think it's going to be a very good game for the aerial attack.
Sounds good. And you're advocating come out and throw it right away.
Yeah.
Cross them up. Not so sure they have the guts to do that, but we will see. Here's what I will say, though. Please don't lay it on the feet of the kicker. Make it enough of a cushion where you don't get people going crazy when he has to make a 50-yarder to tie or win the game.
Yeah, don't give us that kind of nervousness. What John Kuhn said, two scores?
2 scores.
All right, I'll go with John Kuhn.
That's at least a 10-point victory for the Eagles.
I'll go with John Kuhn.
And I'll take it. Everybody, Amy, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming in tonight. Bill Colarulo, we'll see if he's able to come in tomorrow. But everybody else, have a great rest of the night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.